And so just want you to know. Man, I looked at that smile on your face just now. Mm-hmm. And the first time I ever wished I was a photographer to take that picture and let the world see that honesty and that integrity. And know some of the things I know, how you drive all over the country to chase us down. Chase us down. Okay? We move so fast. I don't know if you're married, I don't know if you're a family, I don't know if you're a wife. But when we get on here, we bosom friends. Anytime I see you, I stop whatever I'm doing. Hey, my man, how are you? Hey. Hey, man, what, that's, I owe that to you. It's the obligation that you have. How old are you?
Oh, 36.
Well, you don't have the right to do what 36 people do. You don't have the right to go to the dance or go to the party. You don't have a right to take that trip to Europe when I might need that plane fare to fly somebody else to feed my people that love me. Mm-hmm. You feed them. Oh, it's one thing being hungry from food. Right. There's another thing being hungry for information.
That's right.
And that's you, the feeder. You got to be the farmer. You got to grow the crop. Huh? You got to till the grain. And at nighttime, when you hear something that sounds like water, you got to go see if the crop's going to be flooded. That's your job, man.
Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Run. Tell a friend. I am back. I am back. I'm still black. I'm still black. I am back. I am back. I am pro-Kemetic. I am pro-Kemetic. I am pro-Kemetic. I am pro-Kemetic. Hey, everybody. Welcome, everybody. This is Brother Ron bringing another infiltrating, edutating edition of We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. This is Brother Ron with We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Before I get started, it's a lot to cover, man. It's a lot going on in the world today, but it's been a long time. It ain't really been a long time, but it's been a long time because so many things have changed. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Thank you all for tuning in or tuning out. To tune in, to get in where you fit in. You see how it works. Before I get started, y'all, let me just read the disclaimer. I'm going to read it at the end. I'm also going to read it at the beginning because, whoa, it ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault, y'all. I want to give it to y'all live and earlier than normal. But thank y'all for tuning out, to tune in, to get in where you fit in, man. So this is a disclaimer. I hope y'all can hear me. The words come out my mouth. Can you understand the words? Can you understand the words that's coming out my mouth? This is your Uncle Ron. Can you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? Okay. It's been that type of day, week, and year. Let's read disclaimer. The views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. So I hope y'all understood the words come out of my mouth. Thank y'all for tuning out, to tune in, to get in where you fit in. I just want to put a couple spins on things. I applaud New Black Media. Job well done, job well done, job well done. And the best is yet to come. Black lives still do matter. I don't care what you say about the LLC. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black comics matter. Okay? Black truth matters. All right? Okay, good. Okay, what's up? We got a lot to cover. Thank y'all hanging out in the chat. A couple of shout outs. Thank you, Sister Bobby Williams, Detroit. You know what it is. Thank you so much, Brother Rick Mofat. Thank you, Chicago, that darling town. Thank you so much, brother. Gratitude. Thank you, King Lemuel. We love you madly, man. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all consistent. Yes, more likes. No, I'm in the north. Go up north. Go up with the likes. Thank you, Nori. What? All right. The anti-drinking champ. Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, a well-lived life is a big mess. A well-lived life is a big mess. If your life ain't messy, then you ain't getting nothing done, man. Thank you, Big Mess, for tuning in. Chicago in the house. Chicago, that darling town. Chicago, I'll show you around. I need somebody to show me around Chicago. I can't show y'all around Chicago. I'm just playing around. Peace, brother Alexandria. Thank you. Peace, everybody. One love, universe, soul, God. Got a lot to talk about. They ain't gonna talk about it for a long time. But man, it's an amazing time to be alive, man. It's an amazing time. Sister Bob, you said Trump announced the 2024 round run up. He's a comeback kid. It's funny to me that people want to count Trump out so early, man. Y'all trying to jump on everybody bandwagon, the DeSantis bandwagon. Never forget who King made DeSantis. Who King made Kemp down in Georgia. Georgia. Who King made Kemp? Who King made DeSantis down in Florida? Who gave DeSantis a chance to breathe again? Who did? That was Trump. That was MAGA man. Y'all put some respect on MAGA man's name, man. Put some respect on MAGA man's name. Y'all trying to act like he's DOA. He just begun, y'all. He just begun, because what they won't tell you is that the majority of the candidates he endorsed this time around actually succeeded. The majority of the candidates he endorsed this time around, from my understanding, you just take a look, is our own line. They succeeded in getting elected. But y'all want to pass the baton to DeSantis. I'm going to tell you something. It is still 2022. 2024 is still a long way away. And trust me, they're not going to let you have any type of power without some dirt on you. There are some skeletons. There's some dirt. There's some skeletons on DeSantis. Trust me. This man took on Disney in Florida. This man took on all the new normal. But it was Trump that allowed him the chance to obtain that office. He almost lost to the other guy. I can't think of his name. You know, the brother who got a drug issue. He got more than drug issues, but you know what I'm talking about. The brother, yeah, that he almost lost to if it wasn't for Trump. Yeah, DeSantis got saved by Trump. Y'all keep on underestimating Trump. Like Dave Chappelle telling y'all what time it is for Trump. Trump is the honest liar. I've been telling people that ever since 2016. Trump tell you the game is rigged, but he never said he was getting a benefit from the rigging. Trump never said he never benefited from a rigged game. Trump is a cat that owns a casino, right, and filed for bankruptcy. Who owns a casino and loses money and still make money? Trump owned a casino, loses money, and still made money. He tell you the game is rigged. Okay, come on, man. He letting you know, hey, look. I'm not owning a client. I'm the fixer president. I'm not only a client, I'm the fixer president. He letting you know it's rigged. He's exposing the tables in the temple. He's knocking over those tables, and y'all don't get it. Y'all keep on thinking certain people your friend. I never heard if you ain't black, if you don't vote my way, you ain't black. How does that work? The same party that gave you a good old boy playing the saxophone, and y'all brought it. I ain't gonna never forget. Like Bill Clinton is interesting. Actually, Bill Clinton is still likable. Bill Clinton is still likable, in spite of his weirdness and all this stuff that be going on, murkiness about Bill Clinton. He is still a likable personality. I know it sounds, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you the proof of power of his liking. I went to a friend of mine's homegoing. Guy named Judge the Army Bailey. You don't probably know who he is, but you probably saw a movie. What some of your favorite movies he was in. Like he was the preacher in How Stella Got Her Groove Back. He was the preacher that married Stella and her groove back. He was the guy in The People versus Larry Flint. He was the judge that Woody Harrelson was throwing fruit at, and he was dodging him, kind of like how Bush ducked and dived when that dude threw them shoes at him over in Iraq. That's what he was doing. But also, he was a judge, Judge Army Bailey, and also he was a civil rights legend. He was an activist and a co-founder of the National Civil Rights Museum, and he was a friend of mine. So I used to be a tour guide, a volunteer tour guide. I knew him for most of my life. Good man. We lost him to his battle to cancer back in 2015. And he would always tell me, Ron, you must amplify, Ron, amplify. He is very like a black royalty. He was very charismatic, had a dignified way of being. He actually was a council member out in Berkeley back in the day. He was too radical for Berkeley that they had a recall. He was so radical out in Berkeley. This is back in the free love days, all that stuff that was going on back in the day. He was so radical they recalled him out of Berkeley, and he would tell me, Ron, Huey P. Newton tried to threaten me, and I stood my ground. Huey tried to get me to join the Panthers, and I said, no way. So, yeah, I misjudged. But anyway, the guy who did his eulogy was none other than Bill Clinton. It's back in 2015. I ain't gonna never forget, I recorded this. It's been recorded. Bill Clinton got up there and did a eulogy for Judge the Army Bailey. And he started out something like, you know what? I love Judge Bailey. I love the Army. Me and the Army got a lot in common. His grandfather owned a grocery store. My grandfather owned a grocery store. And I'll tell you something about them Jackson lemon cookies. They're the greatest cookies on earth. There ain't nothing like a Jackson lemon cookie. Y'all can hear the women. Oh, Lord Jesus. Bill Clinton loved them Jackson cookies, lemon cookies. Oh, Lord. Oh, Bill Clinton didn't like us. He just one of us. I love those cookies. I love them to this day. I tell you, God, I love them. I love some other things too, but I love those cookies. So anyway, he is a smooth, slick Willie operator. And for the longest time, there's been, you talk to white folks you talk to black and white people from Arkansas, they got all type of Bill Clinton stories. He got that the mulatto son, right? Was Danny Boy? Was it Danny Williams or something? The one that looked like him if he was like light skinned. He looked like Bill Clinton, a younger version of Bill Clinton. That's probably is his son. That's why he's still alive. Because if it wasn't his biological son, I think he would have been gone. They would have got rid of him a long time ago. But there's a rumor about who's Bill Clinton daddy is. Because Clinton is not his biological father's name. That's his stepfather's name of Clinton. And I've been reading somewhere that his so-called biological father died before he was born. So he had some weird type of car accident where he somehow got thrown out the car and his face was in a puddle of mud water and he drowned. That's what there's one take on the story. Then I heard that Bill Clinton could possibly be a Rockefeller. And people say, how the hell he could be a Rockefeller? Think about this. Arkansas did have a governor who was a Rockefeller, Winthrop Rockefeller was governor of Arkansas at one point. Winthrop Rockefeller. Look it up. Take a look. It's all online, right? They said that could be his father because Bill Clinton do have a close relationship with the Rockefeller family. And also they said John Kennedy could be his father. You know, Bill Clinton met John Kennedy in the Rose Garden, I believe, when he was a teenager. There's footage of Bill Clinton meeting with John Kennedy, and some people believe that may have been his biological father, because he has a well-known tie relationship with the Kennedy family. So who knows? But it is Arkansas, and I tell people all the time, y'all talk about Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, but something about Arkansas, boy. Arkansas is one of the most gangster states in the union. I'm telling you right now. Because where Bill Clinton grew up at, Hot Springs, you know, I'm from Hope. I'm this guy from Hope, Arkansas. You're a guy from Hot Springs, man. Your mom used to be a head nurse for Oni Madden, who used to run the Cotton Club. He was known as the Killer, the Irish gangster who was born in England but raised up in New York. He used to run the Cotton Club. When he retired, he went down to Hot Springs to make his home. Ain't nothing but a gangster party. Ain't nothing but a Hot Springs party. So he ran the Democratic machine from Hot Springs for decades. Only Madden did. He became a naturalized citizen. Why he was a good citizen of Arkansas, of Hot Springs. Hot Springs was a place where it was a gangster's paradise. You just lost Coolio. They were living a gangster's paradise. All the top gangsters used to go to Hot Springs to vacate. It's like one of them places before Vegas became Vegas, where all the gangsters would come. It was overstood. It was peace. Everything was neutral. Like, we ain't gonna bring the beef. If you had beef with me in Chicago, it stays in Chicago until we get back from Hot Springs. If they had beef in New York, it stays in New York until we get back from Hot Springs. So you had people like Al Capone, you know, Meyer Lansky, all the top gangsters used to go vacation in Hot Springs. And then you had Lucky Luciano, the boss of bosses, El Capo de Tutti Capi, the father of modern organized crime. He was caught on the run from law officials in Hot Springs. He was running away from white slavery charges. And guess who masterminded the way to get Lucky Luciano? A black woman. Eunice Carter was the mastermind behind getting arguably the most powerful mafia boss of the 20th century, of the American century, Lucky Luciano, behind bars. He ended up getting sentenced between 30 to 50 years for over, like, you know, pimping, because pimping ain't easy. I'm from Memphis. I know pimping ain't easy, man. Man, got to hustle and flow, man. So she, he got caught down there. So that's where Bill Clinton's from. He's from Hot Springs. So he's a product of organized crime. Just like his wife, though, Hillary Rodham Clinton is a product of organized crime politics up in Chicago. And I could just talk about that all day, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. It'll be another segment, but, do some research on Mena, Arkansas. Look up Mena, Arkansas. There's a movie that came out with Tom Cruise. He playing Barry Seal. Very highly fictionalized movie called American Made. Came out about 5 years ago. It talks about Barry Seal, who was trafficking drugs for the CIA, flew airplanes, flying airplanes from South America, bringing the drugs into Mena, Arkansas to be distributed throughout the whole country, because they had an airport in Mena that was ran by the CIA while Bill Clinton was governor. But there's a better movie that's more truthful about Barry Seal that came out on HBO some years ago with Dennis Hopper and I forgot the other guy name, Brian Dennehy or something like that. I forgot his name. Don't quote me on that, but it was more truthful to the facts. Matter of fact, the best John Gotti movie I ever saw was Amon Asante. In the HBO Gotti movie, that's the best one. They had John Travolta play Gotti in this crappy movie the dude from Entourage made. I mean, that's a waste, because I think John Travolta could probably nail Gotti pretty well if he had a better script to work with. But the dude from Entourage made that. That was a directorial debut. And I don't think he made anything since that, but you wasted John Travolta. I believe John Gotti wanted John Travolta to play him at one point, and John Travolta played him and very hammy. And you would think that Amon Asante would have been more hammy than John Travolta playing Gotti. Because you look at American Gangster, Amon Asante was like, hey, he was like overdoing it. I like Amon Asante, but he was hamming it up on American Gangster. And American Gangster is not a bad gangster movie. It's a decent gangster movie. It's a classic in a lot of ways. And but Amon Asante really nailed Gotti in that HBO movie, the made for TV HBO movie about Gotti. He nailed that. I believe he should have won an award if he didn't, but it is what it is. But there's so much to talk about. We're gonna get into it, folks. I know a lot of y'all should have saw the Dave Chappelle Saturday Night Live thing, right? Should have saw it. I know I saw it. I watched it a couple of times. I didn't look at the whole Saturday night live thing. I just looked at the monologue. I just kept on rewatching it, and Dave Chappelle is a master, man, because like he's at the level of a Charlie Parker when it comes to comedy. In terms of Charlie Parker, like Dave Chappelle, is a Virgo. Michael Jackson is a Virgo. Like Michael Jackson, Dave Chappelle was a prodigy. Charlie Parker wasn't a prodigy. He was a bona fide genius, though. Really a universal genius, because man was well versed on a lot of different subject matter, even though he was a high school dropout. I'm talking about Charlie Parker. But like Michael Jackson, Dave Chappelle was a prodigy. He's been doing comedy almost 40 years, stand up. And he's not that old. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's 50 yet. Is he 50 years old or close to 50 years old? But what I'm saying is, so he's a prodigy who actually became a genius. Most prodigies don't become geniuses. But a lot of geniuses weren't prodigies. See, y'all don't. A genius is not a person that got to be the smartest person. Y'all, people got this. Well, you're a genius if you're real smart. There's a lot of smart people that do stupid stuff all the time. There's a lot of very smart people that do stupid things all the time. There are rocket scientists that can't balance checkbooks. There are rocket scientists that can have all types of sophisticated, complicated math, but they can't balance a checkbook. Doesn't make them stupid. It's just like everybody got their strengths and weaknesses. You understand? A genius is just a person who has the courage to be themselves when they're doing what they love to do. That's what a genius is to me. A person who has the courage to be who they really are, to share that with the world while they do what they love to do. And Dave Chappelle, like I said, he was a project. He's a genius because he's like one of the greatest jazz musicians, like Charlie Parker, because Charlie Parker could play music that make you dance, but he'd rather make you think. You could dance, but he'd rather make you think, reflect. Dave Chappelle has the ability to tell jokes that can make you laugh, but instead of the cheap laugh, he goes for, hey, I'm not going to dumb it down. I know you got enough brain cells to get what I'm getting eventually. You might be a little slow, but you'll get it eventually. Just listen to what I'm saying. Instead of reacting to what I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. So he's a master teacher like that. And it's like Bird, because I could dance off bebop. People say, you can't dance off bebop. Yeah, because Charlie Parker started out in swing bands. He started out, playing music for people to dance to. And you could dance off bebop. What Charlie Parker is doing, his daddy was from Memphis. His daddy was a tap dancer and a piano man on the Chitlin circuit, right? I think he was a cook at one point. I believe his father got killed by a prostitute, got stabbed to death by a prostitute out in Kansas City, I believe. Don't quote me on this. But what Charlie Parker is doing on saxophone, what he was doing, is close to what this dancing style in Memphis called juking. It's Jookin. It's called juking. It's not breaking. It's not break dancing. It's in, they relatives, they cousins. But Memphis got a unique style of dancing called juking. We've been doing this for decades, right? There's something about juking. But what Charlie Parker doing is kind of like juking on the saxophone. But what Dave Chappelle and Charlie Parker got in common is that these guys create art that's very thought provoking and provocative. It's very provocative, very controversial in real time, but with the passage of time, it becomes the new standard. Like initially, it's very controversial, but with the passage of time, it becomes the standard. Because you got to think about it. There was a recording man back in the early days of World War II in the country. They, musicians, singers, and stuff, they couldn't record music for about 2 years to help out with the war effort. So during that time period, you got to think about how the music was before the recording band took place. So there was no new music being put out that people could buy and listen to. So a lot of these cats, they were playing the same stuff, but at the nighttime, especially in New York, you got Minton's house, where a lot of guys would go after hours to jam. And then you had the segregated. See, people don't understand there was some benefits to Jim Crow for black art. Because, there was 2 music unions. You had one for whites and you had one for blacks. And you had places like in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a phenomenal black music mecca. See, everybody focuses on the usual suspects is New Orleans and Memphis, Chicago and New York. But Pittsburgh is an amazing place for black music. One of the most important black music hubs in the country during the 20th century. They had a musician union, a black union, where black musicians who couldn't afford hotel and lodging, whatever, they could stay overnight. So you have a bunch of these great musicians staying overnight, sharing ideas. Like you might have Coleman Hawkins, Lester Young, Mary Lou Williams. All these people will be overnight jamming together. Jam, oh jam. They would jam it up. Just like you have New York and Minton's Uptown House. I went to Minton's. It was a restaurant when I went there for my cousin. Shout out to brother Nick, my cousin Nick, cousin Nick. He had his graduation dinner at a restaurant that was once known as Minton's, where all modern music was born. Bebop. You had cats like Thelonious Monk as the house pianist. You had the Lay, man. You had Charlie Christian, man. This before Jimi Hendrix. You had Charlie Christian, who died really young in his 20s from tuberculosis. He was the guitar hero of B.B. King and so many other people. You had like Kenneth Clark on the drums. Here's Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, all them guys who come through and jam all night long, create this new music known as bebop. They wanted to create something that white folks couldn't steal. The goal of bebop was create something that the white people couldn't steal. And they stole it anyway because a lot of us taught them how to steal it from us. They didn't steal it. We showed them how to do it, as we always do. Same thing with country music. And so, but yeah, because of segregation, you had these black places after hours in the musician halls or musician unions across the country where you just incubate. And then 2 years after the recording ban is lifted, you got this weird sounding music like Cab Calloway and them, like Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway were called Chinese music. It sounds so foreign to them, but it was born out of tradition. But it was just a generation earlier how jazz was an outsider art. Jazz was not considered proper music. It started from the speakeasies and the whorehouses and all that stuff. It came out the church in the field too. But just like how they trying to reinvent the origins of jazz, like how they trying to reinvent the origins of hip hop today, they also try to reinvent the origins of jazz yesteryear. So nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new. So like Charlie Parker, Dave Chappelle came up through the Okay, I think my mic was unmuted. I think it's muted now. I'm not unmuted. Excuse me. I lost connection, but I think it's working. And like Charlie Parker, Dave Chappelle had to pay some dues. Charlie Parker was booed. It was this famous incident in Kansas City. I don't know, it was the Reno Club or something like that, but Count Basie's drummer threw his cymbal allegedly at Charlie Parker's feet to tell him to get the hell out the stage because It was amateur night or something like that. Joe Jones was the drummer for Count Basie, the great Joe Jones. Charlie Parker was trying to play a song and he got lost in the chord changes and people started laughing at him and stuff like that. And Joe Jones just threw his cymbal allegedly at his feet. Get your assets off the stage. You know, Dave Chappelle was booed at the Apollo Theater. Oh, not the Chappelle, not the Dave Chappelle. Oh, yeah, he was booed at the Apollo Theater, right? Just like Lauryn Hill and Luther Vandross and so many other greats, when they first appeared, were booed at the Apollo Theater. And look what they end up doing. And so instead of Charlie Parker feeling sorry for himself, he went to do a thing called woodshedding. You know, when you practice intensely on your art, on your craft to perfect it. So Charlie Parker dedicated 4 years of his life playing his saxophone for 11 to 15 hours a day. Now, I have a theory that if Charlie Parker had Pornhub or the internet or social media back then, we would never heard of a Charlie Parker because he'd be too busy blowing or playing with another horn of his. He'd be too busy blowing that out. That's why I talked to music educators and band directors. They said one of the problems they have with kids today is that they don't practice enough. But I said, you know, there's a lot of distractions today. Like I made that comment about if Charlie Parker had Pornhub, they started laughing about it. So you know what? There is a lot of distractions. That's why you ain't seeing any real innovation in jazz music within the last 50, 60 years. Yeah, you got some jazz masters around. Yeah, you got some of them still hanging on. They keep holding on, but there has not been any major innovations outside of rap and hip hop because of what they did with the music education program. We lost that, but you think about pop music, a lot of the greatest pop music songs that we love were created by authentic jazz musicians. Look at the Funk Brothers up in Motown. Them cats had jazz pedigree. You think about the greatest, arguably the greatest bass player of all time, James Jamerson from South Carolina, Gullah Geechee culture, right? He had a jazz background. South Carolina, the Carolinas produced some phenomenal jazz musicians. I mentioned Thelonious Monk and from Rocky Mount. He was born in Rocky Mount. You had John Coltrane born in Hamlet, North Carolina. I said Thelonious, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. You had Dizzy Gillespie, Sarah, South Carolina. I can go on and on. Nina Simone is from North Carolina, from North Kakalaka, and the great Woody Shaw. Nobody talks about Woody Shaw, great trumpet player, phenomenal trumpet player. He's from North Carolina. He went to the same, I think he's from the Carolina. I don't know, it was North and South, but he did go to the same like boarding school that Dizzy Gillespie went to. I think called the Laurenberg Institute. I think it's still around. They produced some great basketball players came out their institute as well too. I think it's called the Laurenberg Institute. Don't quote me on that. I'm not gonna look it up. But gotta pay those dues. So Dave is interesting because he shared a lot with Kanye. He shared a lot with Kanye because Kanye mom, behind every great black son is a great black mom. Behind every great black son is a great black mom. And Dave Chappelle is not the exception. You know, and Dave Chappelle and Kanye could bond over that. Both of these phenomenal men had phenomenal moms or held phenomenal moms in their life as their foundation. The mother is the first teacher of the child. The mother is the first teacher of the child. The mother is the first teacher of the child. I'm going to prove a point. And thank y'all for rocking with me. Yeah, Harry Connick Jr. Now, his daddy was a horrible man when it came to law. His daddy was a well-known prosecutor down in New Orleans. He sent a lot of black folks to prison over some BS. That's another story. Look up Harry Connick Jr.'s father. He was a prosecutor, I believe, down in New Orleans. He made things that make J. Edgar Hoover blush, from my understanding. But anyway, Harry Connick Jr., he's an interesting kind of like a Frank Sinatra light. You know what I'm saying? He could sing, balladeer, do the acting thing. Played a good part in Independence Day. He was trying to be like the next, the new version of Frank Sinatra. There's only one and only Frank Sinatra, though. Only one Blue Eyes. You know, but I want to talk about Dave Chappelle's mom. I just go on tangents. My bad. Not really. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Subscribe We All Be TV on YouTube. Cash out your support. $ R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2, man. I know, man. Well, what you think about the new Wakanda Forever? I said, if you donate me some money, I'll go to the movies and do a review. Donate me the ticket, gas, and popcorn money. I'll go see it and give you a review. That's how that works. But okay. Just want to share this. That's Dave Chappelle, mom. I met her at Dick Gregory's homegoing wake watch at Howard University on that Friday before his actual homegoing services in Maryland. And I had a chance to thank her. I said, I know who you are, and I'm glad that I had a chance to thank you in person. And she was just so taken aback by it. Beautiful woman, beautiful soul, Dr. Yvonne. I want to read a little bit what I wrote about her, because I got a picture with Patrice Lumumba next to her, who was the prime minister of the Congo. And Patrice Lumumba himself met Dr. Yvonne back in the day, back in the early 60s in D.C. when he could get an audience with President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He met with a delegation of young scholars and students. And he was so impressed by Dave Chappelle's mom that he offered her a job on the spot. And I'm going to read a little bit about that, because you got to understand our lineage. This is very important. Like, this is why we got to have knowledge of self as Black people, because we are all connected and we got some amazing ancestors in our lineage that if you knew who they were and you was able to study their life, then you know that you can live your life with purpose, that you can have the confidence in going forward, knowing that your ancestors, the same blood that ran through their veins, run through your veins. You share the same type of fantastic DNA. So this is why it's so important to study your roots, man. It is so important. This is why Dave Chappelle can stand as strong as he can stand, because on both sides of his family, phenomenal educators. His dad was a college professor at Antioch College up in Yellow Springs. I think he lives in Yellow Springs, Ohio, right? And Antioch, the same Antioch College where Coretta Scott King went to when she was coming of age. Very interesting space and place, but Dave Chappelle comes from a very highly educated, dedicated, and accomplished family. So this is why it's important to know your roots, because in times like these, this reveals who you really are to yourself. Times of controversy reveals who you really are to yourself. Where you stand in times of controversy reveals who you are to yourself and who you are to the world. So joy to the world, okay? Thank you, Brother Al Kurt. We love you madly. I'm going to keep on feeding y'all, okay? So I'm going to read what I wrote about Dr. Yvonne, Dave Chappelle's mom. It's very important. Because, like, people talking about reactionary stuff. See, these should be teaching moments. Instead of us getting mad, don't get mad. Get glad. You remember that garbage can or garbage bag commercial? Don't get mad. Get glad. Start doing some research. Stop all that complaining and explaining and just do your work. So, let's see. Well, make this screen bigger than me, man. I ain't important. There's something about Dave Chappelle's mom. There's something about her. I had the honor of meeting Dr. Yvonne Sion, the proud mother of Dave Chappelle, at Baba Dick Gregory's wake as well. She has a phenomenal personal life story. At just the age of 23, she was personally selected by the great Patrice Lumumba, Prime Minister of the then newly free Congo, to work in his government. This happened during his only American trip in 1960, when he was refused an audience with the U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Proficient in French and with a keen interest in Africa, Sion accepted his offer of a job in the new government. She eventually served as secretary to the High Commission for the Inga Dam Project, the highest government position open to a non-citizen, equivalent to an executive director. The first American hired by the new government, she managed the commission and helped assure uninterrupted recordings of technical data needed for dam construction. Sion earned a BA degree with honors from Allegheny College in 1959, and a year later, the MA degree as a Woodrow Wilson Fellow with honors from American University in American Government and Politics. Patrice Lumumba was kidnapped and killed by the Belgians and the CIA. Y'all to come out Wakanda. Y'all saw that first Black Panther movie where they saved the CIA agent? Well, I'm letting you know that the CIA and the Belgians with some other friends helped kill the real Wakanda that was known as the Congo in Africa. Get your head out there damn comic book. Stop worrying about these superhero movies and you be the superhero that you've been waiting for and dreaming, okay? Patrice Lumumba was a real superhero. Okay, let me get back on script. Patrice Lumumba was kidnapped and killed by the Belgians and the CIA on January 18th, 1961. His body was effectively destroyed in its entirety, so there is no burial site, making him a martyr at 35 years young. You know what they did do? These demons, they saved some of his teeth. They saved his gold teeth and gave it back to the family decades later. So they saved his teeth, but destroyed the rest of his body. I think they put him in like some type of acid vat. So they made sure they saved his teeth. And there's a reason why they had to destroy his body, just like they didn't want to get have Medgar Evers buried down in Jackson. Because they don't want anything like a symbol like that where the people could rally around and push for greater independence and self-determination. His burial spot would have been a rallying cry for the people of the Congo to become more unified and more determined in getting their freedom. This is what y'all don't understand. Medgar Evers should be buried down in Jackson. I mean, here's a great honor. He's an American hero. Even though y'all ain't try to help him when he was alive, y'all left him as a clay pigeon, as a sitting target, as a sitting duck for white supremacy. But now he's a national hero. He's buried in Arlington with full military honors. If he had stayed buried in Jackson, the black folks in Jackson, Mississippi could rally around that, and they could have pushed, and Mississippi would be different right now. See, they understand who we are. We don't understand who we are. We don't even understand who we are, right? Okay. I went off the script once again. The Congo has not recovered since his assassination 57 years ago. I told her that I knew who she was and thanked her as generous as I could for her service and commitment to our people. She was very humbled by the gesture. I also told her that I would love to interview her. She said she was interested. I look forward to bringing it to the family soon. Okay, I need to bring it to the family soon because she's getting up there, man. She's one of the last trees, but she actually helped create the Black Studies doctorate program in the States, man. She actually helped create Black Studies PhD program. I mean, his mom is like, even if Dave Chappelle never did what he did, his mom made her mark. She's not just Dave Chappelle's mom, but Dave Chappelle is her son. You understand? So this is the type of Black woman that produced the type of person that we appreciate, or we kind of not appreciate in Dave Chappelle. So that's very important to point out that, he can understand and understand where Kanye coming from because of who his mom, his relationship with his mom. Amazing woman, very down to earth. She doesn't put on airs. I mean, good people, man. I really enjoyed talking with her, and she was very taken aback by the fact that I knew her history. I ran down her history to her in public, in her face, and people like, oh, I didn't know. Just like I told her son about Willie Ricks, Mukasa Dada, Stokely's right-hand man, Kwame Torre, Stokely Carmichael, man, one of the highlights of my life when I introduced Dave Chappelle to Mukasa Dada out of Georgia, out of Atlanta. Mukasa Dada, formerly known as Willie Ricks. There's a famous picture of him with Stokely and Dr. King walking down doing the March Against Fear they completed for James Meredith. We got shot by snipers. I want to say it was Highway 51. Either 51 or 61. I think it was 51. But anyway, they completed that march, for James Meredith, who was like a one-man march. I met James Meredith last year. I thought I was looking at Dick Gregory again. He had the energy and like the enthusiasm of a Dick Gregory. I mean, he was like, I thought that was Dick Gregory, but it was James Meredith. He's amazing, man. Interesting fellow. Wishing him continue living in longevity and good health. I thought I was talking about Dick Gregory when I met James Meredith. Wow, the cussing though. But anyway, I had a chance to connect Mukasa Dada with Dave Chappelle and vice versa. I told Dave, I said, Dave, you know who that is? He said, no, who is that? That's Mukasa Dada. That's Stokely's right-hand man. If Stokely or Kwame was Michael Jordan, then Mukasa is Scottie Pippen. That's his wingman. He said, for real? I said, yeah, man. He's the guy that put it in Stokely's ear to say Black Power. Because it was organizing in Greenwood back in the day. And he was using the term Black Power. Stokely picked up on it. He made that famous speech down in Greenwood in the park. And that's when Black Power became in vogue. That's the guy. So Dave, man, he's a student of history. He's a griot or griot, whatever. He's a storyteller, great storyteller in the tradition of our greatest of storytellers. He was happy like a little kid at Christmas to meet somebody of that stature. Because Mukasa, man, he's just a really humble dude. He don't put on no airs, man. And he's like Stokely, he's been committed to the struggle. I mean, they went to Africa. He's not just talking rhetoric. Brother Mukasa threw down with Stokely in Africa. They were revolutionaries. They were shooting back, even in Mississippi and places like that. These cats was throwing Molotov cocktails and shooting out with the Klan and local law enforcement who was the Klan. See, we don't know our real history. I know I talked to Mukasa back in 2013 in his home down in Georgia, and he was telling me that, Ron, we didn't care about no voting, man. We used it as a tactic to get our freedom. We used trying to register Black folks to vote down in the deep South to bring more media attention to the hell that Black folks were catching. We wanted them to show these images and broadcast it and project it throughout the world. Voting is just a tactic, man. He said, I don't even vote. And this is a guy, this from the generation that they got, this is the John Lewis generation, right? This guy got the ass whoopings and stuff like that. Edmund Pettus Bridge, and we vote. We don't know why we voted. We know what they count. We're just going to vote, 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 vote. He's from the generation where all they can say is, let's vote. Vote. Why? We're the most votingest people in the world, and we get nothing for our vote. And that's another story. But it was cool that I had an amazing way to introduce Dave to Mukasa Dada that made the trip worth it in itself, man. And I took a picture of them embracing each other, standing with each other and stuff like that. But I actually met Dave 20 years ago. I was a fan of Dave Chappelle before I met him. I loved Robin Hood Man in Tights. He said he didn't wear a dress. He wore something that looked like a dress. I don't know. I'll leave that alone. Do you remember like Nutty Professor, that stand-up routine he did? That was classic. He did Health Bake. I was already a fan of Dave Chappelle. I've been knowing of Dave Chappelle since the early 90s. I've been a fan for almost 30 years. And it was weird to think about it. But I remember I met him at the Peabody Hotel downtown during the Lennox Lewis Mike Tyson fight weekend. It's like Hollywood and Vegas. Like the center of the universe was Memphis that weekend or that week. All the who's who, man. We go to Peabody Hotel. See Charles Oakley, who was like a big old oak tree. He was, Charles Oakley is a big dude, a massive guy. See why the security guards were kind of hesitant of him up in Madison Square Garden a while or two ago. Charles Oakley is built like an oak tree, man. We saw Jermaine O'Neal, saw Thomas Hitman Hearns. Thomas Hitman Hearns, he's from Detroit, but he was born in Memphis. Just like Aretha Franklin was born in Memphis, but from Detroit. They were cool, man. Alonzo Mourning was being an asset. But now we know what's going on with him medically. He might not been in the mood. And Evander Holyfield was being kind of like an asset too, but he had his ear bitten out by Mike Tyson. This is 2002, almost about 5 years removed from that incident in Vegas. Saw Reverend Ron and Russell Simmons. They were riding on a horse and buggy. There was a horse buggy thing by the Peabody. They were cool. Then I saw the brother from Shark Tank who was with Fubu. I took a picture with Team Fubu at the Peabody Mall. We saw Team Fubu, the guy that's on Shark Tank. Got a picture with him and his bros. It was an amazing time, man. It was amazing. I'm getting lost in the memories of it all. Oh, yeah. Okay. Dave Chappelle was doing. Let me see. Okay. I hope my mic works. Y'all can hear me right. Dave Chappelle was doing correspondence work for Jay Leno when he ran the Tonight Show. Like I remember all that week, Dave Chappelle was a special correspondent in Memphis for the Tonight Show, right? This is 2002. So Dave is not a household name. Dave did some interesting work, but he wasn't the Dave Chappelle that we all know and love and sometimes loathe, all right? Certain groups, they can't stand Dave Chappelle. A lot of other people love Dave Chappelle, all right? But this is 2002. He was doing correspondent work for the Tonight Show for Jay Leno. My mom, my sister, and my brother, we went to the Peabody to go stargazing, right? So we saw all those stars and stuff like I talked about. A lot of them were cool. Jermaine O'Neal was cool. Charles Oakley was cool. Some of them wasn't. Alonzo Mourning was kind of like a prick. Evander Holyfield was a prick. Whatever. I don't know him like that. But Dave Chappelle was in the Peabody lobby, the Peabody Hotel. He was like far away from everybody. He was by one of them entrances in the back of the hotel by himself in the corner. Like nobody didn't know who he was. Nobody was paying attention to Dave Chappelle. But I saw Dave Chappelle. I said, Mom, wait a minute. Mom, I told my sister and my brother, that's Dave Chappelle. Let's go holler at Dave Chappelle. Let's talk to Dave Chappelle. So we went over there and I introduced myself. I told him I was a big fan of his and that he's going to be big time. Like it's only a matter of time when the rest of the world catch on to who he is and what he does. And he's like, I know he already did HBO specials and stuff back then, like I said, but nobody was bothering Dave Chappelle. If he was coming into Peabody today, he'd probably get mobbed out. It'd be everybody, Dave Chappelle's here, whatever. But my sister and brother took a picture with him. I didn't take a picture for whatever reason. I didn't take a picture with Dave Chappelle, but he took a picture with my little brother and my little sister. And I don't know where that picture is now. But the next year, what happened? The Chappelle show. And he blew up. He wasn't, I'm about to blow up. He blew up. Everybody knew who Dave was. Dave was the talk, man. I met this dude last year, and it's like Mike Jones. Back then, they didn't know him. Now he's hot. They out on him. You know what I'm saying? Back then, he wasn't putting out his phone number to anybody, but like Mike Jones. But then, everybody loved Dave Chappelle, right? And then $50 million payday came, right? All right, man, Chappelle's phenomenal. But then he walked away. And folks were calling him all types of crazies. The same folks maybe that's calling Kanye crazy, they'll call him Dave Chappelle crazy for walking away from 50 million, right? From 50 million. He walked away, blackball. They already said he was smoking crack before he even left the building. Oh, Dave Chappelle cracked out, smoked out, went to Africa. He's on crack and all that. Look at all these rumors. Look at all these rumors. Look at all these rumors. Sounds familiar? So, he got himself composed. He went to Africa, got him some backup, unlike OJ. Probably OJ went to Florida. But anyway, did the Oprah thing. He got on Oprah Winfrey show, did that, right? Everybody thought Dave was through, right? Dave crazy. Then what got the mega deals from Netflix, and the rest is history, right? And before that, even got the rights back to his show. Okay, as smart as Dave Chappelle was, like I said, he could be brilliant and be stupid in other things. But he had a lawyer that wasn't representing him. He represented the interests of Hollywood. Just like with Eric Monty, the true creator of Good Times, The Jeffersons, and The Cosby Show, who wrote Coolie High, a cult classic, a black cult film classic. Coolie High was about him growing up in Cabrini Green projects in Chicago. That's his life story. Eric Monte, I had a chance to interview him. His birthday or life affirmation day on Christmas. Eric Monte is a true survivor. They tried to destroy the man. He couldn't find nobody to take his case to sue Norman Lear in Hollywood. He couldn't find a lawyer in the country. He tried to talk to the NAACP. He tried to talk to Jesse Jackson about this conspiracy to destroy the black family image and the black man using media mind games, head games, tricks, right? And nobody would stand with him. But eventually he found a lawyer. I think he got like a settlement of $1 million and lost it all because he made bad investments. I think he had a play he invested a lot of money in. Then found him on Skid Row out in LA, drugged out, couple of strokes, I believe heart attacks. I think he's still around. That man been through a lot of stuff, man. But luckily, I interviewed him several years ago on my channel. He got interviews out there on other people's platforms. I need to check out what Eric Monte was telling us. What's happening now, he predicted decades ago. And black people wouldn't stand with him. He was by himself. I'm on my own. It's like Dave Chappelle was by himself in the wilderness. Then he came back, right? Did a comeback with Netflix, got way more money than he would initially with the Comedy Central deal. And then got the rights back to his show because his platform was so influential and powerful that what he did, he made a stand-up special about getting the rights back to his show. And he got that. He was so powerful that he was able to tell Netflix, even though you brought this show to stream on Netflix, don't show it until I get my money. Nah. Can't nobody tell him nothing. Whoa. Tell me nothing. Get your money right. All right. That's what he did. But he was crazy like a fox, right? See, y'all forget how they was. I mean, we didn't have social media like we do now. How they was crapping all over Dave Chappelle, something wrong with Dave. If Dave hadn't left, I don't think Dave will be here right now, receiving his flowers. Dave could have been checked out here like Lenny Bruce. See, Dave is like Lenny Bruce in a way because he's trying to normalize the taboo. And I'm going to tell you something too. What y'all don't understand is that we're going to get our reparations. Dick Gregory said this before he died. We're getting reparations. You know why we're going to get the reparations? Because now we can have an honest dialogue about the people who have exploited us. You could see the thing about what people doing, like you want to talk about white supremacy, you want to talk about racism, but now name the names. Name the people, name the organizations, name the business ventures, follow the paper trail. Was interest about the government and stuff like that, like the FBI and the CIA, a lot of times they don't get rid of their conspiracy paper trail. They preserve that for the National Archives. They may wait, they say, well, we won't release this to like 2050 or something like that. Like with MLK, like with the JFK thing, they're supposed to release that back in 2017, right? But they still haven't released everything. Then with Dr. King, they're going to release that allegedly in 2027. But they preserve a paper trail of all the evil they done to us. Right now, they redact the names. But now this is the period where the names will not be redacted. You know, when they black it out, it's called redacted, right? Y'all correct me in the comments. They redacted. Now we're going to unredact all that stuff. So now we can name the names, the organizations, the faces, and the places. We got to identify all that now. This is the age of transparency. So this is why we'll get our reparations, because now you could call out the people who did this to us. At first, you couldn't say their names. You couldn't murmur their names. You couldn't whisper their names. You couldn't do nothing. Now we can do that because the black men are freeing us once again. I'm gonna make this perfectly clear. All this bashing of black men will cease. Because black men, we are the real superheroes of humanity. We got to save the world once again. And this is what's happening. Black men have been vilified. See, we was always the heroes, but we've been vilified. Now it's time for us to be the heroes again. You understand? It's the black man that's going to save the world. Nobody else. Nobody. No disrespect. The black woman, white women, white man, it's the black man. Because who's getting sacrificed? Jesus was a black man. They said Jesus was Yeshua. Whoever that was a black person. right? Whatever you believe or don't believe, the savior of the world was a black person. Superman is based on a black man. And Superman is not a white man. Superman is based on a black man, right? Read the J.A. Rogers book, From Superman to Man. Is that the book, J.A. Rogers? I'm going to do like what Dave Chappelle did. He said something, Hebrew, Negro. I think From Superman to Man, man. J.A. Rogers wrote a book called Superman to Man. Read that book. I read the book in college. It wasn't assigned to me. I just read it because I love knowledge. Black men, y'all looking for a Marvel universe to put a black man in the position to save the world? No, the universe, so God has put the black man, the so-called black man, in a position to save the world once again. That's what's happening. Kyrie, he didn't ask for the mission, but the universe, so God chose him. Universe, so God chose Ye. Universe, so God chose Dave Chappelle. And the universe, so God has chosen you, black man. Whoever listening to the sound of my voice and can receive the vibrations and the frequencies, you have been chosen for this mission, man. And that's what's happening. The more they villainize us, the more we got to rise to the occasion. Black manhood, stand up and stand erect. It is our time. Yeah, I think like Lil Wayne on this one. It's time for you to take your position, black man. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. But that's what's happening. Right? I'm going to tell you something. Because, all this white supremacy boogeyman talk, this time for Wizard of Oz to be over. Stop saying white supremacy. Say their names. 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 It's going to cost y'all a bag, though. But if Kanye could lose $2 billion, you could lose a couple of cash apps and PayPal, GoFundMe, man. If Kanye said, I'm going to lose I put $2 billion on it. I put $2 billion on it. I put $2 billion. Not $1 billion, not half a billion, but $2 billion. If he willing to lose that to gain his freedom, why are you willing to lose to gain something that's greater than your own imagination could ever phantom or manifest at this moment, at this hour? You understand what I'm saying? Stop all the boogeyman talk. Name the names. Well, Biggie said, Iggers bleed just like us. They bleed just like us, man. So stop making them to dominant boogeymen. They not the boogeyman. Name their names. Name their names. If they were the boogeyman, if they were that powerful, why are they so afraid for you to know their name? Time to Rumpelstiltskin these fools, man. Time to Rumpelstiltskin these fools. Stop serving up your firstborn for a chicken sandwich from Popeyes, man. I don't care if it's the blackened chicken sandwich. Stop giving up your people for a pork chop sandwich, man. Say their names, say their names. All right. See, now I'm learning the game. So it's not anti-Semitic. It's not about hating anybody. It's about telling the truth about people. That's all it is. But how they use the anti-Semitic now is like, if you tell the truth, that means you a hater, man. You don't hate, but you're a hater because you let people know the truth about stuff. It's like, for example, I asked the question, and I asked this honestly. Do Jewish people, are they still upset about what happened to Leo Frank? I asked this honestly. It's not about making fun of people's misfortunes or about lame blame, but I'm serious. I want to know because, Leo Frank, y'all know, y'all Google Leo Frank. I can't look. I told y'all a little bit about Leo Frank, right? What happened? He was a guy who was serving a life sentence for allegedly, irking and aping. He aped and irked. Y'all know what I'm saying. This 13-year-old white girl allegedly named Mary Fagan. And I think his death sentence was commuted to a life sentence by the governor of Georgia. And the white folks wasn't having it. The pasties, the pink toes, they was up in arms. But Leo Frank defense was saying, hey, it was the black janitor. I didn't do it. The black janitor did it at the pencil factory I ran, right? But Leo Frank had a reputation for a fetish for young sex workers, allegedly. So the white people said, nah, you did it. Because it was Confederate Day. When this girl got kidnapped and killed and whatever, it was Confederate Day. That's the the South's Memorial Day for the lost cause. It was Confederate Day. So they found the girl at the basement of the pencil factory, right? At the bottom, somehow somebody concocted a letter full of ebonics, basically like the judge to confess to killing the girl. The white folks wasn't buying that. They said they found him guilty, right? So the Anti-Defamation League was born out of that, right? So they ended up lynching him in 1915. The white folks did. Then that same year, out of Hollywood, the movie The Birth of a Nation came out, which resurrected the Klan. You know where the Klan was resurrected at? Stone Mountain, Georgia. No, the Klan was 4 million strong back in the 20s. Hell, even Donald Trump dad was a Klansman, allegedly. According to a New York Times article from June of 27, a man named Fred Trump got into it with the police up in Queens. You know, Fred Trump and his people, they from Queens, right? Queens, New York. The Klan had a parade or rally, and they got into a little skirmish with the New York's finest, right? So for whatever reason, the New York Times noted there was a man named Fred Trump that got involved. I think he was released on bail or whatever. You know, Fred Trump was a very powerful real estate guy. You know, he's skimming money out the government back in the 50s and stuff, building homes for GI, from the GI Bill for veterans, and also building projects, right? He got a lot of money. He pocketed millions of dollars from the government, and he got so bad with it that President Eisenhower said, "Who is this Fred Trump dude taking all our money, man? Why is this Fred Trump dude putting millions of dollars in a personal account?" You know, it was a science fiction show from back in the 50s. I kid you not. Because some people believe that Donald Trump is a time traveler. There was a science fiction show back in the 50s about a guy named Fred Trump. His name was Fred Trump. And he was trying to build a wall out west to keep out the aliens. This guy named Fred Trump, that looked like Donald Trump's dead, I think. He was trying to build a wall out west to keep out the aliens. He was trying to stop an alien invasion from invading the town. That sounds familiar. You know, when Trump was talking about building a wall. There's a lot to that because, you know, Donald Trump's uncle was a government scientist. He was a brilliant scientist named John Trump. Look him up. I think it was Donald Trump dad that financed his ability to go to college. He became one of the greatest scientists in the country while he was around. He was like one of Donald Trump's favorite relatives. He was real close to his uncle John. But John Trump was given the assignment to look through Nikola Tesla's notebooks when Nikola Tesla died. Nikola Tesla died back in January 1943. Don't quote me on this. Just take a look. It's all online. I don't feel like doing all this homework. Let y'all do the homework. But John Trump was assigned by the U.S. government to look into Nikola Tesla's notebooks that went missing or whatever. Nobody, I don't think they got him back. I don't think his relatives got his notebook back. But evidently, he found something. They said it was nothing to it, right? But Donald Trump, you know, there's a reason why Donald Trump had them documents down in Mar-a-Lago. He knows a lot that he ain't sharing with us about the government, about certain things. I'm going to tell you something. Y'all keep on thinking UFOs and aliens don't exist. Y'all keep on thinking that. They figured it out back in Roswell. Look up something called the Majestic 12. Harry Truman, James Forrestal, the first Secretary of Defense, they threw him out a window at the Naval Hospital in Bethesda. That's the same one that Donald Trump went to. You know, Donald Trump went to there. We had the stuff. We had the stuff, right? Don't you know Donald Trump got his ass out of there as quick as possible? He let us know that he was still alive. You know, he was on his little motor car. Hey, I'm still alive. Hey, everybody, I'm out of here. Because that's the same place where they did JFK's botched autopsy. They made up their fake autopsy on JFK at Bethesda Naval Base Hospital in Bethesda, Maryland. A lot of people get suicided. There was Senator Joseph McCarthy went. You know, he talking about, you know, it was the government was red with communists and all this stuff. He went to Naval Bethesda Hospital. I think he had like a knee issue and he ended up dead. Senator Joseph McCarthy was a Republican senator out of Wisconsin. They all call him crazy back in the day. They were trying to dismiss him. He was a very powerful man at his height, but at the end they called him crazy. They dismissed him, and he was real close to the Kennedy family too. He dated a lot of the Kennedy sisters. He dated several Kennedy sisters. Excuse me. Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family, he thought he was his another son. He treated Joseph McCarthy like he's one of his sons. Joseph McCarthy is the godfather of Robert Kennedy's oldest child, Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, who was Lieutenant Governor of Maryland That's her godfather. They don't talk about it though. But Joseph McCarthy gave Robert Kennedy his first job on the Hill as his legal counsel. So-called Democratic Kennedy, Robert Kennedy worked for Republican, Red baiting allegedly Joseph McCarthy, proud Irish Catholic out of Wisconsin, right? But Joseph McCarthy was correct. There were communists that infiltrated the government. They came out decades later. You had the Rosenberg trial. It's so much stuff, man. It's so much stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know why I'm getting out. But yeah, they got rid of Joseph McCarthy at the Naval Bethesda Hospital. They got rid of a couple people, a couple well-known people. Man, I can't. Okay, yeah, Frantz Fanon, right? Fanon, the Pan-Africanist. Yeah, he went to Naval Bethesda Hospital. I think it's Frantz Fanon, right? Richard of the Earth and all that. He went to Naval Bethesda Hospital to get treated for leukemia or something, and he ended up dead. So there's a lot of people that go to Naval Bethesda Hospital, now known as Walter Reed Complex, whatever. And Donald Trump got his ass out of there ASAP Rocky. He got his assets out of there ASAP Rocky. So that was the place they wanted to send Reagan. When Reagan got shot allegedly by Hinckley, whose family was real close to the Bush family. George W. Bush was George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, was vice president. They're trying to take Reagan to the Naval Hospital in Bethesda to allegedly finish him off. But people said, no, GW, George Washington Hospital, is closer than Naval Bethesda Hospital. So that will save Ronald Reagan's life by him getting taken to George Washington Hospital instead of the Naval Hospital in Bethesda. And the reason why, you do the research, I talked to folks who really were well-versed in the Reagan assassination attempt. That was an inside job. And some people said the shot didn't come from Hinckley. Some witnesses said they heard shots coming from above, straight down. It's like what people say about Malcolm. The shots came from above. They wasn't coming from upward. They was coming from above, according to Dick Gregory and some other people. I'm getting all deep in the sauce. I'm sorry. We probably talking about Dave Chappelle and them. I don't know where I'm at. Thank you, Law Dog. It's good to see you. Yeah, but I'm saying reparations is close because now we're in an uncomfortable space where names could be said and things could be traced. You understand? Like, who created Hollywood? Why was Hollywood created? That's your homework assignment. Why was Hollywood created? Who created Hollywood? Who controlled it? Birth of a Nation was a Hollywood production. They talk about D.W. Griffith, but who helped them? I think D.W. Griffith was one of the founding members of the United Artists Film Organization, right? Who were in the United Artists? Who was in there? What was their nationality, their background? Okay, even what was the first produced black talkie? Not black talkie, that's Hallelujah. But what was the first produced movie talkie in movie history, Hollywood history? What was the first movie talkie about? Who starred in it? A.L.L. Jolson, right? It's called The Jazz Singer, right? And what was he wearing when A.L.L. Jolson became the first person to talk in a Hollywood movie, in Hollywood movie history? He was wearing blackface. Well, he was saying, "Mammy, mammy, 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 mammy," right? What was his nationality? What was his race? What was his religion? He was Jewish. He was an immigrant. It's an immigrant Jewish person from Lithuania. And that defined his career. But what's interesting, I'm going to tell you what's interesting about A.L. Jolson. Was he a racist? Was he a white supremacist? I don't know him personally. But I know that A.L. Jolson, I think it's Jolson or Jolson. It's Jolson. I was going to go with Jolson because it's America and we see a J and all that. That's Jolson. Like, it's not he who, it's not Jesus, right? It's Jesus, not Jesus. So we're gonna go with Jolson, right? Look him up. A.L.J. Olson. He's a Lithuanian Jew. His defining moment was being the first person to talk in a Hollywood movie, The Jazz Singer. He was dressed in blackface. He was like, "Mammy, mammy, mammy, showtime." But his Jackie Wilson, of all people, Mr. Excitement, the guy who inspired the Elvises and the Michael Jacksons, his favorite entertainer was Al Jolson. That's from my understanding. That's my research. That Jackie Wilson's favorite entertainer, Mr. Excitement himself, his favorite entertainer was Al Jolson. So that's interesting. Like with the Elvis thing, I'm gonna do a show about Elvis because it's a lot of misperception, misunderstanding about Elvis and his relationship with the black community. A lot of black folks love Elvis, man. I mean, I'm in Memphis. My mom and them, I didn't know they had this thing about Elvis. You know, Eddie Murphy's favorite entertainer growing up was Elvis Presley. Yeah, that Eddie Murphy, his favorite entertainer was Elvis Presley. Just like Jackie Wilson's favorite entertainer was Al Jolson. So, I mean, this is a weird conundrum we find ourselves in. But all entertainment in America is based on the monetization of black trauma. It's based on the monetization of black trauma. It's based on the monetization of black trauma because a lot of these immigrants, some of them Jewish immigrants, not all Jewish immigrants back in the 19th century, one of the first things they'll come and bring into the entertainment business is do blackface. Do blackface, man. You know, you had a thing in New York, very prominent black theater back in the day, back in the early 19th century, called the African Grove Theater up in New York. Look up the African Grove Theater. He was a black owned. This is before Tyler Perry and all that. It's back in the early 19th century. One of the greatest Shakespearean actors of all time was a black man from New York named Ira Aldridge. Look up Ira Aldridge. Ira, I-R-A Aldridge. Look him up. He started at the African Grove Theater. He was not born into slavery, although New York City and New York State had their fair share of slaves. Because never forget that the mayor of New York City wanted to secede with the Confederacy during the Civil War because they were making so much money off the profits of slavery, the cotton and all that stuff. Cotton is king not only in the South, but also in the North. So the mayor of New York wanted to secede with the Confederates because they were making too much money out the slavery. That's a fact. So you had even Wall Street, the first thing traded on Wall Street with black people, commodities. But anyway, Ira Aldridge, he said, I'm not wearing this damn blackface. I'm a real serious actor. So he left America for Europe and became one of the greatest Shakespearean actors of all time. He set the standard for Othello, which should be called Orenthal James Simpson. Othello should be named Orenthal. But anyway, yeah, it's Ira Aldridge, African Grove. And that's how I think the African Grove Theater got burnt down some way, some mysterious way it got burnt down. I'm not sure. But who owned the Hollywood studios that kept on producing certain type of black stereotypes? Who were the people that promoted stepping fetching? And the guy who played stepping fetching was actually an intellectual who wrote a column for the Chicago Defender. And he was the first $1 million black actor in Hollywood. But now we ashamed of stepping fetching. Muhammad Ali had a relationship with the guy who played stepping fetching, right? Muhammad Ali was actually close to this guy. Muhammad Ali is an interesting character that needs to be studied a little bit closer. It's some things that Muhammad Ali said when he was a young man. It'll make y'all not want to be so closely associated with Muhammad Ali. Because I see how y'all reacted to the way about how Kyrie Irving didn't say anything. He just put a tweet or whatever, posted something on social media. Y'all lost y'all mind. Muhammad Ali actually articulated things. I ain't talking about the things that we all know about. I'm talking about some things that he said that, whoa, y'all might not want to stay too close to Muhammad. Y'all might not want to get too close to Muhammad. So if y'all scared of what Kyrie Irving didn't even say, but just tweeted and posted. And, I've been trying to look at that Hebrews to Negroes documentary. I'm going to tell you something. It's supposed to be woke, but it keep me going to sleep. I gotta do a review. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna take something to keep me up, but it is hard to get through the first 20 minutes of that documentary. Not because it puts you to sleep, because it don't really start until 20 minutes in. It's like you do a lot of previews and commercials, whatever. I don't know. it's something in there I gotta get. I'm gonna get it, right? But it's like, man, it's put me to sleep. It supposed to make me woke, but it's putting me to sleep. It's supposed to make me woke, but it's putting me to sleep. It's supposed to make me woke, but it's putting me to sleep. If you have sleeping problems, try to get through the first 20 minutes from Hebrews to Negroes. But I'm gonna look at it, and I will reach out to Ronald Dalton. He's like a good brother, smart, articulate brother. But you see how they're not saying the name of the documentary in a lot of the media, so people don't even know why people upset at Kyrie, because you're not mentioning the name. Say its name, say its name. It's time to say names and name faces and dates and places and organization. It's time to put a noun on it. I got nouns on it. I got nouns on it. People, places, things. People, places, things, ideas. I got nouns on it. I think that's right. All you English people, y'all can look it up. I know I'm butchering the English language, whatever. So be it. But some of y'all can understand. Can you understand the words that come out my mouth? Can you understand? See, they always do that to black people. White folks out, well, he could be successful mainstream, but can people understand Bernie Mac? Can people understand Jesse Jackson? Can people understand Ronald Hurt? Evidently, they can't understand us. It's like all these things about we can understand black people. It's like I remember that interview that the Migos did, where they showed it on one of these reels or TikTok thing. They did an interview at an award ceremony, pre-ceremony, I guess, with Joe Budden and was a guy named DJ Academics, right? And DJ Academics talking to Migos, and he asked take off a question like, how does it feel not to be on Bad and Bougie? The song Bad and Bougie, I don't believe Takeoff was on the original take of Bad and Bougie. He said, what do you mean I'm on Bad and Bougie? He said something like, no, he talked like he from Georgia, right? And DJ Academic said, what you say? Well, he probably couldn't understand what he was saying. And it was kind of loud and all this stuff. But, he got that southern accent and all that. But I understood what he was saying. I always do it. And then they almost got into a fight at the end because Joe Budden was frustrated. He dropped his mic and walked off the set before the actual end of the interview. And the guy almost got into it. Security broke up everything. Whatever. But Takeoff, he couldn't understand him at that point. But then he had a gift of communication because evidently whatever he was saying in his songs, people understood. And they brought millions and millions of copies and downloads of it, streamed and all that stuff. So it's funny how rappers, a lot of them might be high school dropouts and all this stuff and were not the best students in schools, but they become a master at language and communication. Like even Jay-Z, Jay-Z was a high school dropout. Well, you can understand Jay-Z, he got great diction and the stuff. He enunciate and got great diction, but this man was reading at the 12th grade level when he was in grade school. He was reading at the 12th grade level in grade school. You got folks that's graduated can't read at the 3rd grade level, graduating from high school now. But Jay-Z, a high school dropout, was reading at the 12th grade level in grade school. So it is in education is an interesting phenomenon, self-awareness, knowledge of self, stuff like that. But Dave Chappelle made a great point about, like Kanye, about his assertion, like people call him anti-Semitic because in his business dealings in the entertainment world, you got to deal with Jewish people. There's no way to get around it. And for you not to point out the obvious, I mean, what's that about? For you to state the facts, you anti-Semitic? Who founded Hollywood? Jewish people, right? Who founded, record labels back in the 50s and 60s, all these great blues and jazz and R&B art, all the black music was controlled by Jewish-led, funded companies. This is not a knock against Jewish people. This is facts. I'm not saying anything good or bad. I'm stating facts. But there were some bad business practices like the Bahari brothers. They cheated B.B. King and Ike Turner and they cheated Ike Turner, B.B. King, and Johnny Lee Hook, and so many others out of money, man. Millions of dollars, man. Duke Ellington had a Jewish manager, Irving Mills. He got almost half, if not over half, of Duke Ellington's earnings, man. Is that fair? Duke Ellington had a large band. He ran a band for 50 plus years, right? 50 something years. This man had people in his band that been in his band for almost 50 years, right? They might have left every now. He did like 200 plus shows a year, constantly on the road. He didn't have no money like he should have had it. But the guy who managed his career, he got his name on Duke Ellington classic songs, and he didn't even write. He didn't contribute a song, a note, anything, a lyric. He didn't contribute anything to the song. And yet his estate is still getting paid off of Duke Ellington. And BB King and them talking about me. I see somebody, when I get my stuff copyrighted, it's somebody else's name on there with my name. And some people never got all their work copyrighted. Like Ike Turner said, he wrote at least 200 songs. And, you know, man, make you want to holler. Thank you, Mrs. Me. Thank you. I'm going to keep on speaking on it, man. I'm going to speak on it. Thank y'all for donating. All the people who are going to donate in the future and donate in the chat. Not really checking out the chat. If you join the membership, thank you for being a member. Thank you so much, Wild Hero and Brother Dominique Griffith, for being members of the We All Be tribe. But we all be in it to win it. But I'm just saying, like, you got to start talking about this stuff. This can't be swept under the rug. You know, you can't talk about the Confederacy without talking about Jewish involvement in the Confederacy. Second in command, Judah P. Benjamin, he was married to a mixed mulatto black woman, but he owned a whole bunch of slaves, and he was the second in command of the Confederacy. He could argue to be the most powerful person in the Confederacy. Honest with you, he had a couple positions in the high government of the Confederacy. And he was a prominent slave trader, former senator from Louisiana, married to a so-called black woman. Like Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, was married to a black woman. She's mulatto, you know, race no, nature knows no color line or something like that, some J. Rogers type of stuff, you know. It is what it is, but you cannot not talk about what happened to black people in this country without talking about Jewish involvement, participation, and benefits. Like I said, entertainment in this country is based at the foundation on the monetization of black trauma. It's based on the foundation of the monetization of black trauma. And Kanye West came up with that. I hope we make a song called Monetization and Trauma. I hope we make one of them songs because Kanye is creative like that. But now you can understand, I hope, after all my rambling, why Dave Chappelle came to the defense of his friend, because they come from similar background. Both their mama were prominent educators that believe in teaching black people about knowledge of self, and they put that belief in practice in their beloved community, in their beloved village. So we got to understand that, you know, Dave Chappelle, I want to say his great-grandfather, William David Chappelle, I think his father named after the grandfather, great-grandfather, was a prominent bishop. He was a president of the Richard Allen University down in South Carolina. You know, Dave Chappelle talked about his ancestor leading a delegation to talk about a lynching to the White House. They went to the White House. I think they met with Woodrow Wilson or somebody, according to Dave Chappelle. But you got that's why it's so overstanding our lineage. Because when you start overstanding it, like, you know, I wish I knew growing up about the greatness of some of the people in my family trees. Like, I had this thing about Malcolm X growing up, not knowing that my cousin was a guy that was close to Malcolm X, that actually helped him when he came to Africa. He would stay with them in Ghana, and they were close, like they would travel Africa together. Got pictures of him with Maya Angelou, and then his wife was the personal physician of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. His wife was a Puerto Rican American. She was a revolutionary, Dr. Ana Livia Cordero. And she also saved the life of Maya Angelou's son when he got to a real bad car accident, on a motorcycle accident in Africa. But these people were revolutionaries. My cousin, playwright, author, worked with the likes of Paul Robeson, real close to Robert F. Williams. I used to love talking about Robert F. Williams. I got the idea for News Free Dixie from his Radio Free Dixie program in Cuba. My cousin saved his life. Him and his wife, instead they had to flee the country. It was my cousin car that got him out of North Carolina to Canada so they could go to Cuba. My cousin Julian Mayfield. Those are my people. So that's why I like Malcolm and Robert F. Williams, because my cousin, they connection to those guys, you know. But that's in my tree. But if you know that type of stuff growing up, it makes a difference in how you see your life and how you value your life and you value your people's life. Knowing who you are early on could get you a better start in life. And that's why we got to teach this stuff. But Dave Chappelle is rooted and grounded. Like even his father, I said, was a college professor. Like I think it was on Oprah Winfrey, or he did some show. I think it was the one he did with Maya Angelou on the Oprah Winfrey channel or whatever. Where they did the icon thing where you had icons sitting with the icons, talking with interviewing each other, whatever. And I think he had said something about his father had a conversation with him because he told his father he wanted to be a comedian full time and go into the business instead of going to college and following the footsteps of his parents who were prominent educators. And I think he told his father, his father asked him, what does success look like to him? He said, success to me would be doing what I love to do, and I could be making your money. He said, okay, all right. He just want to do what he want to love to do. And like what we don't understand or understand is that, your creativity is your salvation. Your creative self-expression as black people, as people in general, but black people in particular, that is your salvation. That is your liberation. To create yourself, to recreate yourself in an image of your choosing, to really practice real freedom and self-determination, you got to tap into that creative spirit, that creative mindset. Stop letting yourself be defined by the limits of this so-called dominant society, dominant system. This is not dominant. It's only dominant because you believe it to be. It's like that movie Jeepers Creepers. The monster feeds off your fear. These so-called boogeymen, they feed off our fears. They don't feed off the actual facts of the situation. Say their names like Rumpelstiltskin. Say their names, say their names. Stop saying white supremacy. Stop saying dominant society. Say their names, say their names. All right. If Kanye could lose $2 billion, if Kyrie could use a couple $100 million, you could lose your $5 or $20. Come on, man. But them brothers wouldn't lose hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars. You could lose your $50, your $100. You lose your lottery ticket, whatever. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, what is the price you put on your own liberation? What is the price? So I'm all over the place. It is white inferiority. Yeah, Strom Thurmond, the senator from South Carolina, he had a black daughter he was hiding. He had a black daughter with his maid. He was hiding, but he talking about segregation now and segregation forever. I know that he didn't say that. I know George Wallace said that. All these guys, George Wallace had, I want to say the mayor of Tuskegee was married into his family. I think the mayor of Tuskegee, Johnny Ford, what's his name? Don't quote me on this. It was a black guy, was a mayor of Tuskegee. I think he was married to George Wallace, Mr. Segregation Now and Segregation Forever, married to one of his nieces, I think. Just like Van Jones was married to Jimmy Carter's niece. The Van Jones on the Crying Negro Network fame. Van Jones, who dad is from Orange Mound, Memphis. And I met Van Jones before the fame, man. Van Jones was actually a cool guy because he was working for Greenfall out in the Bay Area. He was one of the founders, I think, for Greenfall. And I also think he founded Color of Change, one of the co-founders. And he moved on to other things, but he was married to Jimmy Carter's niece at one point. He got 2 sons. I think he named them after African revolutionaries, his 2 sons with the niece. Jimmy Carter's niece. Jimmy Carter, how many of y'all know that Jimmy Carter is a blood cousin of Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown? How many of y'all know that Jimmy Carter and Berry Gordy blood cousins? How many of y'all know that the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, Nathan Bedford Forrest, got a black great-great-grandson who was named Douglas Turner Ward, who was the founder of the Negro Ensemble Company that trained the likes of a Samuel Jackson and Louis Gossett and James Earl Jones and Denzel and Angela Bassett and on and on and on and on. He just passed away last year. America is weird. That's why the truth, this is critical race facts, not theory. This is critical race facts. Name their names, say their names, say their names, say their names. You be free. That's why reparations is coming. They're going to be interested to see who claims to be black after the reparations be coming. Because they're coming. Because we're going to have to start naming the names and tracing the information and following that paper trail is out there because they hide everything out in plain sight, but they make sure you so dumbed down you can't see it for what it is. You can't see it for what it is. So let me yeah, Johnny. Okay, I thought okay. I think he was married to George Wallace's niece, and George Wallace was interesting because these politicians are not who you think they are. Some of them could be honest liars, like Dave Chappelle said to Trump, but George Wallace really he got to race baiting because he read his audience. Because George Wallace really was a guy, he wanted to unite the blacks and whites at first. It's kind of like, okay, when you look at one of my favorite politicians of all time is Huey Long. And you know, it's funny to me, Huey Long is demonized today. Like when they had the book called The Kingfish and they made movies about it. I think Sean Penn played him. Sean Penn be hamming it up. You somebody as a ham. Sean Penn he know how to ham it up. But when he's on, but he be hamming. But Huey Long was the governor of Louisiana. He became senator from Louisiana. He was an ally of Franklin Roosevelt back in the 30s on a New Deal. Then he saw how Franklin Roosevelt really was trying to do for the people. So he started his own movement, Every Man a King. And he was a very popular figure. He was a threat against Roosevelt for running for the White House in 1936, but he was assassinated down at the Capitol, state capitol in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, back in, I think, September 35. He was shot there allegedly by a Jewish doctor. He was shot allegedly by a Jewish doctor named Dr. Carl Weiss. But I don't think he killed him. I think that was a lie. I think what happened was, I think Dr. Weiss confronted Huey Long at the state capitol because he was mad about what he said about, I guess, his father-in-law was a very powerful figure in Louisiana politics. I think it was his father-in-law, and he called himself avenging his honor. And so I think what happened, he got close to Huey Long and slapped him a couple of times, whatever. And his security overreacted because Huey was in fear of his life because, he made a lot of powerful enemies. He took on big business. When he was governor, he took on Standard Oil, which was like, whatever you think of the biggest conglomerates today, Standard Oil was that back in the day. Rockefeller, Standard Oil. He took them on successfully, got them to pay for books, textbooks for kids, got them to pay to build bridges to connect the parishes down in Louisiana. A lot of progress was made, got them to spend so much money that he was able to get that money to invest in LSU. No, the LSU is known for their football program, but y'all can thank Huey Long for putting that money getting that money out of Standard Oil to put it into the state. And also, he created a literacy program for adults because they had a high illiteracy rate in Louisiana when he became governor and all that stuff. So when he got in power, he put aside resources to teach adults how to read. And Huey P. Newton is named for Huey Long. Huey P. Newton is named for Huey Long. Huey is from Oakland, but he was born in Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana. Huey P. Newton was born in Monroe, Louisiana, but he's from the Bay. I'm telling you, like, he was born in Louisiana, but he was raised up in the Bay, right? But his parents named him Huey after Huey Long, a white man who did not use race baiting. He didn't believe in race baiting when it came to politics. He believed that if he focused on certain issues, that everybody would be taken care of. Like their literacy program he made for adults, it didn't discriminate. He didn't care if you was black, white, Cajun, or Creole. If you was an adult and wanted to learn how to read, you was given the resources to. So his thing was, he wanted to keep us out of world politics and focus on America. He wanted America first. Like when Donald Trump was saying, make America great. Again, he wanted to make America first again, right? Very powerful figure. He had a radio program, millions of listeners around the country, get tens of thousands of letters on weekly average, right? From around the country. Share the Wealth program. He had a Share the Wealth movement. I think it was Share the Wealth or whatever, right? We had clubs around the country. This man would have been a master in social media. He was kind of like a more sophisticated Alex Jones. That's how much his reach was. He had a far reach. And he captured the imagination of the average American. And first, he was an ally of Franklin Roosevelt. Then he saw, okay, Franklin ain't doing right by the people. Let me step in, because he wanted to provide a short work week and a living wage for Americans. A lot of his ideas. I read this book called My First 100 Days in the White House. It's a book I think came out posthumously. He actually wrote a book about how he would spend his first 100 days in the White House. And what was brilliant about what he did is that his cabinet would consist of his so-called political enemies, like people you thought he had that was his enemy. They would be people in his cabinet in very powerful positions. So his thing was he wanted to put together a team of rivals because he said it's not about our petty differences. It's about helping the American people in whole. And they took him out of here. They killed this man. They actually operated him. They operated on him, I think, down New Orleans. They were speeding down the highway to get to New Orleans. They killed him on the operating table. Okay, he probably could have survived, but they screwed him over. So that saved Roosevelt. That was his biggest threat, that Huey Long would split the Democratic Party vote or form his own independent party. All right. So this is why I say it's like the 30s. Y'all keep on talking about it's like the 60s. It ain't like the 60s. Because the 60s, you had a booming, you had economic expansion, right? Had a historic economic expansion, meaning that I could drop out of high school and could barely read third grade level, but I could work at that factory in North Memphis, Firestone, for about 30, 40 years. My wife could stay at home and raise our children, send all my children to college on my money, and retire on my money with a good retirement income. Those days are long gone. Or I could work in the motor plant up in Detroit, whatever. Them days are gone. Them golden days, you get every man a Cadillac, them days are gone for right now anyway. Now they want every man an Uber Lyft driver, right? Man, we have fallen, America. The decline of the civilization as we know it is happening in real time. But anyway, y'all look up Huey Long, but they demonize him today like he was a demagogue and da-da-da. He was a dictator down in Louisiana, but he did what he had to do to get the results, because power is not about I vote this way, I vote that way for 30 years, and I got nothing to show for it. Power is to identify what you want and pulling out your resources and willpower into making it real. That's real power. Power is not begging, it's about taking. Y'all keep on telling me y'all love these gangster movies. Y'all failed the lesson of the gangster movie. Gangsters take. They don't ask, they don't beg, they take. And Black America has a problem because we don't train no leaders. We train followers. We train people that don't know how to think for themselves. We train gatekeepers instead of liberators. We train gatekeepers instead of liberators. We train gatekeepers instead of liberators. Now, we idolize them when they die. We reinvent them and make them in our image as soft and weak and pathetic. Because y'all made Malcolm into like that integrated coffee you talk about. You added cream and made him weak. Well, Malcolm changing. You know how many times Malcolm went to Mecca? He went there more than once, from my understanding. Oh, Malcolm, he saw all the white people wasn't. It was never on Malcolm to change anything. It was on white folks to change or accept the fire next time, as James Baldwin would say. Why is it that James Baldwin can live, but Medgar Evers, Malcolm, and Martin, his friends, had to die? Because James Baldwin was no reproductive threat. Malcolm and Martin and Medgar had a family. They had wives. They had children. James Baldwin is like, he like Michael Evans on Good Time. Oh, Michael Evans. Oh, man. That's cute when you say the revolutionary things. But when James Evans said some revolutionary stuff, gotta die, James. Damn, James. Got to die. Can't have a grown black man saying what Michael Evans say for craps and giggles. But let me bring it back and let me close it out. I don't even know if I got where I wanted to go with this. My voice about to go anyway, but let me bring it down. I forgot I'm in my apartment. You folks kind of weird. If I was screwing somebody, no problem. I'm talking this stuff. Brother Ron is disturbing me. He's like crazy. But let me I'm a little bit nutty, ain't gonna lie. But I always tell people there's a difference between being weird and being a weirdo. There's a difference between being weird and being a weirdo. I'm weird, but I'm not a weirdo. It's like autism is on the spectrum. Okay. So let me bring in some stuff and I'm gonna close it out. I'm trying to keep it under 2 hours. And thank y'all for being patient. I think y'all hearing what I'm saying and know the best is yet to come. I got people calling me, trying to see. I'm trying to find something. But also, y'all know yesterday was the 107th anniversary of Booker T. Washington dying under questionable circumstances. Y'all know that, right? And I had a great interview I wanted to share. I hope y'all can look at this after the show if you want some more around her. This is a great interview I did. I'm put in the chat with Sister Paulette Davis Horton. She's a beautiful sister, nurse, and historian out of Mobile, Alabama. The Mobile is where they had the first Mardi Gras, and that's where they claim that that slave ship, the Clotilda, is down there in the Mobile Bay. That's the last slave ship to come to America back in the 1860s, right before the Civil War. And they say they found it. But she's a historian, a nurse down there, and she put together a great book, Death in 60 Days, that is on Amazon that y'all should get. And I don't know if it's anti-Semitic, but y'all should get the book, make it a #1 bestseller. This is a link to that interview. I put it in the chat. And we had a great 2-hour conversation about what really happened to Booker T. Washington. Because you see, they never really talk about what happened to Booker T. Washington. And I think you can hear me. They never really talk about what happened to Booker T. Washington. Like, how we know he just died. You don't know how he died. And the thing about it is, Booker T. Washington was not what they told us he was in a lot of ways. We've been taught a lot. I know I've been taught coming up that Booker T. Washington was a sellout. He wasn't a sellout. Matter of fact, Booker T. Washington was the reason why Marcus Garvey came to America. Booker T. Washington was Marcus Garvey's Jegna. He was the guy that was pen pals with Booker T. Washington, Marcus, because he wanted to start a Tuskegee Institute-like organization in Jamaica, but he didn't have the support. And so his plan was to come to America and meet with Booker T. Washington and possibly work at Tuskegee Institute under Booker T. Washington to learn some things. But by the time he came to America, Booker T. Washington was already deceased under questionable circumstances. Booker T. Washington was very outspoken about the U.S. policy on Haiti. He spoke out against the occupation of the U.S. Marines in Haiti back in October 18th, 1915. In the New York Age, his op-ed was published. You can still read that op-ed today. You can still read what Booker T. Washington said about U.S. occupation of Haiti from October 1915 in the New York Age. That was run by the brilliant T. Thomas Fortune. We had a lot of brilliant black journalists back in the day that we don't talk about today. They set a very high standard. You know, you look at in the so-called new black media, look at what we're doing versus what they did back in the day. I'm not just talking about Ida B. Wells Barnett. I'm talking about T. Thomas Fortune, who was a brilliant man. I'm talking about William Monroe Trotter, who had the Guardian up in Boston. The first black Phi Beta Kappa at Harvard University. The guy who won his wife, he wooed his wife from W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois wanted to marry William Monroe Trotter's wife. He was the one. He put the swag on. He got her. He got her. But he lost her to the flu epidemic of 1918. He lost his wife. Millions of people lost their lives during that Spanish flu era. But read stuff from William Monroe Trotter of The Guardian. Read stuff from T. Thomas Fortune of the New York Age. But it was an op-ed that he published in Booker T. Washington, where he basically came out against America on his policies towards Haiti. Next thing you know, a couple weeks later, he's dead. Some people think he was killed at the Rockefeller Institute Hospital up in New York City. It was weird, but she looked at his medical records and stuff like that, right? And the old timers told her, the people that in the Boule, y'all know Steve Coakley told us about the Black Boule, right? It was people from the Boule that told her that Booker T. Washington was poisoned. Somebody put something in his food, a Haitian. They used a Haitian to put something in his food to poison him. That's what she was told for some of these old timers in the Boule, these Boule gatekeeper types, right? If you look at Booker T. Washington, a lot of people in his circle died crazy deaths. Like he was married 3 times, right? His first 2 wives died young. They never specify how they actually died, but they just died. He had 2 wives that died young. His third wife outlived them. I think she lived to 1925. His last public speaking engagement was up at Yale University, where William Howard Taft was in attendance, the former president of the United States. He was in attendance. William Howard Taft was not only the president of the United States, but also he was U.S. Supreme Court Justice. So he became a U.S. Supreme Court Justice after becoming president. I think he enjoyed being a U.S. Supreme Court Justice more than president. But he was present at Booker T. Washington's last engagement up at Yale University, home of Skull and Bones. Y'all know about Skull and Bones, right? Come on. Y'all looked at their movies, right, about Skull and Bones. Y'all know about Bohemian Grove, the Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones, all that stuff. The Bush family, all that. Come on, man. So next thing you know, he's dead. And what a lot of people don't know about Booker T. Washington is that he almost got lynched in New York City. Look up the New York Times article that I think came out in 1911. See, I love looking at New York Times because it's like a time capsule of how people was thinking. The New York Times, Booker T. Washington was almost lynched in New York City in Central Park. They claimed that he was a peeping Tom, that he was going around in this white building, apartment building. He was peeping, looking at naked white women. That's what they're trying to claim. That's what they claim. Even Booker T. Washington, he loved that white meat, allegedly. So he was chased into Central Park by a mob of white people, and they beat him up real bad. And the only reason he was saved was because a white police officer intervened. This happened in 1911, I think. I think Booker T. Washington asked the police officer, or asked the police, should I press charges because of who I am? So I don't know what was the deal about that, but that's online. Y'all can find an article, just like y'all can find an article about Bill Cosby trying to buy NBC. I don't know why y'all keep on thinking that's an urban legend. That's true. I found the article on one of my lives and read it to you all. The New York Times, Bill Cosby had a group of people want to buy NBC. Y'all keep on thinking that's not real. That's real. When you come against them people gangster like that, you gotta understand, how they ran the business, man, entertainment. Look at Bugsy Siegel. He was a Hollywood guy. He was best friends with George Raft, the Hollywood dude, the actor who played gangsters. He based all his gangsters on Bugsy Siegel. They were best friends. They were childhood people growing up in New York. He based his gangster characters on Bugsy Siegel, the Jewish gangster. What's funny for me is my favorite gangsters, I'm not trying to glorify them or, are Jewish gangsters. I'm more fascinated by Jewish gangsters than I am by Italians or Irish, because, there's something about the Jewish gangsters. Like, you look at Bugsy and Meyer Lansky and stuff, when the Nazis would come into power, especially when they had an influence in America, Jewish folks will send Bugsy and Meyer Lansky and them people like the Jewish gangsters will go into these Nazi party meetings, whatever, the Bund, whatever they call themselves, and beat these folks up for being Jews. I mean, they just had pride in their heritage. They said, you're not going to disrespect the Jewish people. We're going to beat y'all up. We're going to brass knuckle you. We're going to torture you. We're going to do what we do. We're going to defend our people. And I respect that. I mean, these are gangsters. They exploitive, sociopaths, whatever, but they had pride in being who they were, and they want to protect their people. So I respect it. But there's something about Jewish gangsters that are interesting to me. But anyway, people calling me left and right. But okay. But look up that Booker T. Washington piece. Look it up and start by listening to this interview I did with Sister Paulette Horton Davis. Get her book, Death in 60 Days. Let me see if I can find that and place a link to that. I'm gonna do how Kyrie did for the Hebrew people, or Hebrew the Negro. I'm gonna find. Thank y'all for being patient. Trying to cover a lot, and I wouldn't even probably go down this road. Trying to focus on the Dave Chappelle stand up. Like I said, these are teaching moments, man. Teaching moments. I saw Sister Paulette Horton Davis on my birthday when I went down to Mobile, to Africa Town, back in 2016. It was an honor to meet her. She gave me a book about the history of Black churches in Mobile that she wrote. Brilliant woman. I'm gonna call her. She's been on my mind. I've been a lot of people not around I'd be thinking about and no longer here. But I hope she's still around doing well. But check out the interview. It's one of my favorite interviews I ever did, I think. with her because she revealed so much information that I didn't even think about Booker T. Washington in a certain way. And did it because the person that replaced Booker T. Washington now, the person that's supposed to replace Booker T. Washington was his personal assistant, Emmett Scott. Emmett Scott was supposed to replace Booker T. Washington, but then somehow it was Robert Moulton, who ran Hampton University for a minute. He replaced Booker T. Washington. And that's how the Tuskegee experiment got into at Tuskegee, because he brought in Eunice Rivers, the nurse, but it's on his watch that the Tuskegee experiment began. And from my understanding, allegedly, he had like a great grandfather or something like that who was a chieftain in Africa that was known for selling black folks into slavery. So his great grandfather was a chieftain, an African chieftain that was known for selling blacks into slavery. Then karma is you know what? Somebody caught his assets and put them over in Virginia. So that's his great grandfather. That's what they used to say on Wikipedia. But he's the guy that also was a U.S. Army intelligence spy. Robert Moulton worked for the U.S. Army intelligence. He was a spy. So they replaced Booker T. Washington with a U.S. Army intelligence spy when it really could have been his assistant, Emmett Scott. Now, it was interesting because we just got through with Veterans Day, right? And Veterans Day was started in response to World War I, I believe. But there was rumors going around back then that black soldiers were being killed on purpose by the Red Cross, allegedly. There was rumors that said the American Red Cross was neglecting the black soldiers who were wounded, and they allowed them to die on purpose. And Emmett Scott was one of the high-profile black Americans sent overseas to investigate if the rumor was true about the American Red Cross allegedly allowing black soldiers just to die without treating them or mistreating them or whatever. You know, so y'all should look that up. There's documents that's still available of the research that was done on that at that time period. But I'm giving y'all a lot of information y'all probably don't really care for or didn't ask for, I know. But y'all looking for some other conversation. I'm about to close this out. But let me find that page on Amazon. I guess I'm gonna make Jeff Bezos some more money. Y'all make this controversial about how Booker T. Washington got killed. But that's on Amazon. Death in 60 Days, Who Silenced Booker T. Washington. It is worth the read, man. I thoroughly, it was like a book I couldn't even put down. And it was actually, I think I got a copy of the book from a friend of hers or something. Somebody mailed me a copy of the book. And I just couldn't put it down. And I read that book, like, man, I love that book. But I put the link in the chat. That's the book, Death in 60 Days. Check out the interview I did with her. Phenomenal interview. Now I'm trying to find something else before I get out of here and close it out. Trying to close it out. Always a pleasure with you guys. Always a pleasure. Try to. Okay, I'm just trying to do this. I'm just trying to feed my people, man. I'm just trying to feed the people, man. But say their names, say their names. It's time to be free. Say their names, because we don't know what dominant society means. We don't know what white supremacy means. Say their names. Say their names. Goddamn. You understand?
They try to suppress you.
I see. Trying to close it out because I'm trying to cook me something to eat. Yeah, this stuff is deep, man. It's so much to talk about. That's why I said I want people, instead of sensationalizing BS, let's get to the truth of the matter. Let's revisit the legacy of Booker T. Washington. Let's read his book, Up From Slavery. Read them in his own words. Read some of the stuff. Don't let them tell you this is what we think of Booker T. Washington. Let's find out. And this is what I'm trying to push. And this is what I'm trying to push right here. Let's hear this.
They try to suppress you, but that's how they try to categorize.
They can't control you. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me. You
Not
see, it
you.
ain't no name I won't name.
Exactly.
It's up.
Not you.
You know what I'm saying? And just for Minister Farrakhan, I love you, but the way you read that, I took that as a slight. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking no disrespect from nobody. So let's get on the phone and let's talk that out. I don't care who you are. I ain't taking no slice from nobody, right? I ain't taking no slice from nobody. It's God. That's the only person that I serve. My mom ain't here. My mama was sacrificed.
Me too.
You understand?
Yeah, I'm Christian.
Michael Jordan, what about him? His daddy, right? Bill Cosby, his son, right? Dr. Dre, his son. You're out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize. And God loved me. You understand? They hit me. Gap, Adidas, all that away. Still Forbes, who hate me, right? Had to write net worth 400 million. Jesus is king. God loved me.
That's more important thing in life.
That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And this truth is going to be heard. Y'all can't send none of y'all Meek Mills, y'all Puppies, y'all Lil Boozy, none of these names, none of these people that have to listen to y'all because they have legal. I never killed nobody, right? I'm the pussy that never killed nobody, right? But that means I can say whatever I want and not go to jail.
Yay man has spoken, right? He's spoken. That's some truth. Also with Booker T. Washington, Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men in the world at the time. He was very impressed with Booker T. Washington. He actually gave Booker T. Washington like $500,000 in net money. You know, that's millions of dollars a day. He saw how hard Booker T. Washington was working to help black people, and he was impressed by that. And Booker T. Washington, I think he lived out the interest of that $500,000 that was given to him by Andrew Carnegie, or Carnegie, whatever you want to call him, Carnegie, Roosevelt, whatever, man. But Booker T. Washington loved his people, man, and that's what people don't understand. He was trying to help his people get their thing, get the bag, you know. But anyway, that was Kanye West. Yeah, somebody said thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, Shaq is a cop. He's them people, man. And also with Kanye, y'all gotta understand, right? With Kanye, you gotta understand. He told y'all how they trying to take his kids away. Nobody was paying attention earlier this year. He said they trying to take my kids away from me. Y'all was focusing on the sensationalism. Is he bizarro, crazy, weirdo? He's hiding in a Bush thing, a Bush costume, spying on Kim and all. He was letting people know they trying to take my kids. And then y'all started paying attention to him when he say some off the wall stuff that's really not off the wall. It's on point. But it seems off the wall because everybody that's sane is insane in a world that's upside down. And Kanye showed the text of the doctor that's trying to drug him out, trying to help him on drugs and put him away because he was unruly. He dared to speak his mind because they misdiagnosed Kanye. He was like, suffering from exhaustion, He was exhausted, right? Exhaustion. They diagnosed him as bipolar. How many of us are misdiagnosed? I personally know people that had their breasts removed because they were told they had breast cancer, but they didn't have breast cancer. They just chopped them off. They like cutting on black people like we steaks or something. Think about the father of so-called modern gynecology, so-called Dr. J. Marion Sims, how he experimented on black women with no anesthesia, how he destroyed black wombs and experimented on black babies and black women with no anesthesia because they don't think we feel pain. There's still sectors in the medical establishment that think black folks don't suffer from pain. Now my screen, my Wi-Fi is going in and out. They messing with the Wi-Fi. Okay, come on Wi-Fi. Yeah, the world is a mental hospital. But, look at what Kanye did. Look how they got Michael Jackson out of here. You talking about Dr. Was it Conrad Murray, whatever? I don't think he killed his golden ticket. That's the golden goose that laid the golden egg. Michael Jackson was helping paying for his child support. So why would Conrad Murray want to kill Michael Jackson? Now, they use drugs, both legal and legally. Legal and illegal drugs are used to control these so-called celebrities. All these celebrities are potential Manchurian candidates, MK Ultra sex kittens, whatever you want to call them. A lot of them being, think about, you just lost Aaron Carter, right? Why do you think Aaron Carter had to leave at 34? What do you think he experienced growing up as a so-called child star? Look at all those Disney stars, black and white. Look at Britney Spears. Look at something you don't know that allegedly committed suicide. It was a black dude that was working on a cop show, and he was a star with Disney. I think it was Disney or Nickelodeon. They say allegedly he killed himself. You think about, with what's her name? The girl from the Cosby Show, Raven Simone, and her so-called co-star, how he all flipping out and stuff. Think about the brother who sung in that version of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. What happened to that brother from Texas? Like, allegedly he was abused by some people in the industry. He was taken advantage of sexually, allegedly, and he died young. And I mean, these blood sacrifices are real. You think about Jennifer Hudson. I mean, she lost her family, right? Lost her mom, and they were very supportive of her. And they said her brother-in-law did it, allegedly. I don't think he did it all by himself if he did do it. But they probably got him under some type of hypnosis and whatever. But she lost almost her whole family. And to gain what? What did she gain? Do you know what you're going through? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Mahogany, mahogany, mahogany. But I love mahogany. But sacrifices are made. Even the Veterans Day, Memorial Day. What do you think those are? Even Christmas and Easter. It's about sacrifice. Everything's a sacrifice. You should never let a good sacrifice go to waste. Never let a good sacrifice go to waste. So his mom was sacrificed. As brilliant as she was, yet she was insecure about her looks. Because if y'all ever been to Los Angeles, man, people look interesting. Even the homeless people look fit. I ain't saying for all of Los Angeles, but it's like got the Hollywood thing. The homeless people got a nice tan because they be sunbathing on the sidewalks in Hollywood. I mean, LA is interesting, man. But yeah, I could see her being intimidated because there's some good looking people out there. And whatever be genetics or be by the knife or whatever, it could be intimidating even for the most accomplished person. It's unfortunate that she feel like she had to do cosmetic surgery. I mean, because she was a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit. From what I get her from the documentaries and what people say about her and stuff like that, colleagues and her son, that's a living legacy. She left an amazing son behind. And that's why I think Dave Chappelle could identify with Kanye's plight because they called him crazy not too long ago too. For walking away from 50 million. Yet Kanye lost 2 billion allegedly. But the thing about it is a method to their madness. Freedom ain't free. Because even in the New Slave song, he said we slaves, right? He didn't say I wasn't a slave, but he knew slavery was a choice. And he showed y'all it's a choice. What did Patrick Henry say, one of the so-called founding fathers? Give me liberty or give me death. Give me liberty or give me death. Give me liberty or give me death. All right? Okay. That's what's up. So what's weird, y'all pray for the safety of Dave Chappelle. Because what was weird about the Saturday Night Live monologue wasn't him, but it was the song they chose to play for his intro, for his interest to do his, when he entered the room, the stage to do his monologue. They played Otis Redding. Why did they play that song? They Try a Little Tenderness, the one that Jay-Z and Kanye sample. Let me see. Try a Little Tenderness. Is it called Try a Little Tenderness? Yeah, Try a Little Tenderness. The one that Otis made in his likeness. the music god known as Otis Redding. He died in an airplane crash under suspect circumstances back in December of 67, just 3 years almost after Sam Cooke, who died in December in a city hotel in Watts. You think about what message were they sending? What type of subliminals? Like, we should make, they threatening Dave's life, because they sent that dude, whatever that was, on stage to get him at the Hollywood Bowl, right? So why would they play Otis Redding as his intro and outro in and out, intro and outro music? Nobody talk about that. Everybody talking about everything. They ain't talking about that. What type of message? I don't want to wake up in December and find out that something happened today. You understand? Because Otis was taking on the powers that be. The thing that Kanye was talking about, Ye was talking about, Otis was taking it on, just like Sam Cooke was taking it on. Otis wanted to do a distribution company with James Brown. James Brown's son claimed that Otis Redding and his father was in talks to form a distribution organization company for black music. Because it's an urban legend. Now, this is an urban legend. I'm trying to find this true. I've been talking to music historians. People claim that Otis Redding did a press conference where he stated that black music will be controlled by black people from now on. And I know I talked to people that knew Otis, that work with Otis Redding and Stacks. They told me, asked, what you thought about Otis Redding? He was stupid. It wasn't that he was stupid. What they were talking about, that why is he letting everybody know all his moves? Otis died at 26. I thought he was 40 years old when he died. He had an old soul. He didn't look like he was 26 years old. Like he'd been around, been here for a minute. But Otis had his own publishing company, right? So he wrote the song Respect. That's Aretha's signature song. Otis wrote that song. He did his own version of the song Respect. He wrote that song. He wrote Sit on Dock of the Bay. So he was telling black musicians, like, just don't take the studio fee or the flat fee. Get your publishing. Get your writer's credit. You think about, David Porter. I know David Porter and Isaac Hayes. Porter and Hayes. They wrote a lot of songs. Isaac Hayes, phenomenal music talent, gifted. He wrote a lot of songs. A lot of the songs that he helped write and produce is the foundation of hip hop. A lot of he catch simple stuff that David Porter and Isaac Hayes wrote in whatever form, whatever. But he was a label made of Otis Redding. But he was telling them black musicians, get your publishing, get your stuff in order. He had his in order when he got killed at the age of 26, when they crashed his plane into Lake Monona. Lake Monona. Is that Monona or Monoma? If I'm saying it right, is it Lake Monoma up in Wisconsin? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but there's a famous picture of Otis Redding in the morgue, frozen to his seat. They showed that in Jet Magazine. Y'all talking about Takeoff? Oh, we can't see a Takeoff. No, we want to see that. Because if nobody recorded what happened in Houston on November 1st around 2:30, we would never know that there was some fishy stuff going on. So Jet Magazine showed Otis Redding in his seat, still strapped up on his back. It's weird. You can see this online. They showed the people pulling his body, still strapped to his seat, out of Lake Monona or Lake Monoma. I don't know. It's the lake in Wisconsin, one of them lakes. They pulled him out. They didn't censor that. They didn't they didn't blur it out. They showed it. Like they showed Emmett Till's face in the casket. Y'all, we don't want to see Takeoff. And no, show all that. Show it, because let's make this stuff real again. Let's make it real, because y'all want to live in a fantasy world where we can look at all this violent crap. We can listen to all this violent crap in our music. We can watch all this violent crap on TV and our laptops and our phones. But when it really happens, when the ish really hit the fans, are you still a fan? Are you still a fan? Let's see it all. Let's get back to getting back in touch with what makes us human. So they showed Otis Redding strapped in his seat. Crazy thing about it is, they said that Otis Redding had $10,000 in a suitcase on his person. It was people that was retrieving his body and stuff. They said they turned it in to the police. Police said they never got it. They don't know what happened. Said, y'all turned in a suitcase of $10,000. Let's put this in perspective, right? Otis Redding made about $10,000 in a couple of nights, right? I think the average salary for a cop back then was $5,000 a year, at least in that area of the country. It was like $5,000 a year. So Otis had $10,000 in suitcase and never been accounted for. That's 1967. Stuff happened, but like my friend, the late great Mr. Anderson Abel Jr., who worked at Stax, who worked with Isaac Hayes, who was the band director at high school to kick Isaac Hayes out the band, and working for the Isaac Hayes movement at Stax and watch Stax. He said, "Ron, nobody dies a natural death in show business." He told me a lot of interesting stories about the people that we love to listen to their music, what really happened. He's on roll with it. He's an ancestor, but I miss him like I do Dick Gregory and all them guys. But whatever. But I think I said enough. Anti-Kemetic. Yeah, Sister Law Dog. I hope you get better. I hope your foot and everything's going the right way. Thank you for listening. Thank all y'all for listening. I'm about to wrap this up because you said keep going, huh? I don't know. It's almost like, let me get off of here, man. I ran my mouth. Like, I be like, this is like a workout for me. Like, I go to the gym, but this is like a workout, trying to get prepared. And I said, I got to do a show because I supposed to did the show last night, but I fell asleep. Yeah, they got rid of Bob Marley because, they were filming a documentary on Bob Marley. And the dude that was close to Bob Marley, his daddy was director of the CIA, the guy who was so-called filming the documentary. Like, he met with Bob Marley after the home invasion. Like a guy who ended up being one of the founders of the Shower Posse. The Shower Posse, big gangster Jamaican organization. Jamaica intro, but Bob Marley, they took him out of here. No doubt. Dick Gregory worked with Bob Marley when he came to the States up in, I think, Massachusetts back in the day. There's photos of that. Yeah, I'm about to get out of here, y'all. I think I fed y'all enough. I don't know if I talked about everything I needed to talk about, but let's pay attention in December. And y'all keep y'all prayers and positivity and vibrations towards Dave Chappelle, because I keep on thinking, why did they play the Otis Redding song, knowing good well it's about to be December? And then, he lost his mom this month. November is a month for sacrifices, especially for hip hop, right? Especially for hip hop, it's a month for sacrifices, right? Especially for hip hop. Like Young Dolph anniversary is coming up November 17th. Talking about King Von, Mo 3, Takeoff. A lot of rappers getting sacrificed in the month of November. And Kanye mom was sacrificed in the month of November. So, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank y'all. I haven't read all the chats and stuff like that. Thank y'all so much. I accept that endorsement. Was that okay? That was his trainer, or was that his doctor? The Pasternak guy? Yeah, and he showed that. But I'm saying, but that's how they control celebrities. That's how they control Whitney Houston. That's how they control Elvis Presley. They use drugs to sedate people, to control them, to make them to zombies. But Ye is woke, and he not going back to sleep. And the thing about Ye that's beautiful, and like with Dick Gregory, people say, well, why Dick Gregory live so long? Because what Dick did, when people tell him to keep something a secret, he'll let the cat out the bag. He'll just tell everybody. Because then he'll say, why you want to kill me if I already told everything? It's out there already. It's out there already. And you know what's thing about interest about life? All these rappers getting killed, but Tekashi 6ix9ine is still out here, man. This man, they try to Rico to Tekashi 6ix9ine. This man said, I ain't checking in nobody's hood, nobody's city. And he's still out here, man. Zimmerman's still out here. These cats are still out here. I don't know what's going on, man. Life is weird. Thank you, Sister Law Dog. We love you madly. And one of my favorite founding fathers is none other than Thomas Paine. He came to bring the pain. They don't talk about Thomas Paine. There's a reason why. Because he wanted black folks to be free, to be free, to be free. I want black people to be free, to be free. Okay, let me stop now. I think I told y'all no. So that was his trainer, not doctor. But I don't know. But all the same, man. That's what they do. It's like you look at Steve Coakley, man. We say we love Steve Coakley. Why Steve Coakley died broke? You know, they got rid of him in the hospital. And Steve Coakley gave us all this information. We didn't, you know, we should have been supporting Steve Coakley like we support Kyrie or anybody, like LeBron. No, those the real heroes to me. The Mae Brussels and the Steve Coakleys and the John Judges, the William Coopers. Those the people that are the real heroes when they try to tell their people the truth about what's going on and give them an insider's look into what's going on. But let me get out of here. Yeah, I heard about the Kanye text man. So that was his trainer, not his doctor. But I mean, how can his doctor prescribe him medication then? I don't know. But I'm saying my thing about 6ix9ine is like you got Young Thug, all these guys facing Rico, and he was able to send some of his own homeboys supposedly up the river doing football numbers, and they don't get him. But I mean, you get all these other people getting killed, like P&B Rock getting killed at Chicken and Waffles and Watts. Now I went to the one. I don't know why. I don't know where it's like. I don't know LA like that. But when they say he got killed in Inglewood Chicken and Waffles, I'm thinking about the one by LAX. I said that's not even like no gang. I mean, it's in Inglewood, but that one's like right by the airport. It's like really like I think that's the one that Obama went to because the 2 Chicken and Waffles I went to was the one by LAX and Inglewood, and also the original location in Hollywood. You know, I ain't feeling no weird vibes going to that. My spider senses didn't tingle at that one. All right, let me get out. Let me read this. I know. I mean, be quiet. It's nighttime, sleep time. But I'll see y'all sometime in a couple of days from now. But like the words from Brother Herb, please support the channel, support the movement. We all be in it to win it. Got the Cash App, $R2C2H2. That's $R2C2H2. You can Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support, R2C2H2 @gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 @gmail.com. You can Venmo your support at R2C2H2. At R2C2H2. You can Apple Cash your support at 901-299-4355. That's 901-299-4355. You can patreon.com/WeAllBe. You can even join this channel as a member, and I'm gonna do better in giving out the goodies. You know, I'm gonna do something for all the people that have been supportive. Thank you all for sending donations via the Cash App, via the Venmo, Zelle, Apple Cash, Google Pay, snail mail. Y'all don't know the difference y'all making because there's a lot going on with me. I don't really like to talk about all the things that's going on with me because everybody got stuff they're going through, and it's like the seasons. This too shall pass. It won't last for all times. But I want to thank y'all for the encouraging words that you feed into me, that you invest into me, your time, your energy. And I want to encourage you all to do your own research and become the leaders of your own destiny. That's very important to me. You can buy Art of His Art, R2C2H2.com. You can wear Art of His Art. They might have the Teespring shelf below here, but go to the Teespring page. I might have to pin that. You buy some shirts as well. So I'm gonna read a disclaimer, and I'm gonna let y'all go. And thank y'all. Thank you for the company. It gets lonely sometimes. I ain't gonna lie to you when you do this work, but having you good people take the time out your schedules, and you could be doing anything besides listening to me murder the English language. If you understand the word, come on my mouth. If you understand the word, come on my mouth. Okay, anyway. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience, your love. Words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. In the words of Brother Ron, keep on pushing and producing. You see how it works? Somewhere over there.